Because Joe's aggressive, but he
Whoa,
also...
We're live.
Oh,
it
what's up?
worked.
Hey, we're live.
It fucking worked. And we're up.
We're on TV.
We're on TV again. It's been a while. Well, we're
It's
on
great
Facebook.
to be back.
It's not quite TV, but, here we are.
You can pretend.
Yeah,
Use
it's
your
kinda
imagination.
thing, right?
We're in a new place, too.
Yeah. A beautiful new studio.
Right? Yeah. So here we are. White walls and shit.
They're
Bluish.
off-white.
Off-white.
They're gray.
But we're back. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So it's good to be here.
Yes, it is.
I think it's...
Condry to Condry.
Condry.
It's back.
Season 2!
Season 2!
Welcome.
Season 2, bitches!
All right.
Yeah.
So it's finally... We've been talking about it for a while. We finally got ourselves going back on Season 2, I guess.
And we're live right now, aren't we?
Why
We're
not?
live right now. Which is
Wow.
even better.
Do people know that we're live?
No, probably not.
No, nobody.
Nobody knows.
Maybe Nate, if he's like flipping through his Facebook, he'd be like, "Whoa,
Yeah, it might.
Whoa.
So I think it shows a
what the fuck, Joe?"
a notification for all I think we're up to 19 likes.
Dude, I just came up with this idea. What if you knew you were going to be releasing content, and so to get people who are already watching it when it released, you talked about it before. I feel like there would be a word for that though.
Marketing.
Oh, promotion.
Promotion. There it is.
Whoa.
Whoa, we should do that.
Promoting.
What is that?
We should
we-
merchandise.
Merchandising. Oh, speaking of merchandising,
Speaking of
We should do
merchandise.
that.
what we got here? Rob, if you just hold that directly up in front of that. Oh,
Well,
turn
but-
it.
Is that it? Is that gonna do it?
That's all.
That one? Am I
what's
doing
that?
my camera or your camera?
Other way,
Around,
other
turn
way.
around. Yeah, towards mine. Oh, it's out of focus.
Focus.
There you go.
You hold it.
Focus.
I don't know what you're trying to do.
Focus.
Got
There
coasters.
it is.
Coasters.
There's the coaster.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're
It's exciting and
beautiful.
shit.
And it's got a cool whiskey barrel thing going.
Right.
We have an aesthetic.
Yeah. It's been designed by Rob.
I designed it, but I had help from Joe and Willie. You guys wanted to go. I gave you a few options. And you went with the whiskey barrel look. And I'm like, that's perfect.
Right. It
And
works.
so we're celebrating the open of season 2 with our whiskey and coke.
To season
Whiskey
2,
Coast. Back to it.
100 more seasons.
Are we so drunk that we don't remember that we already did that?
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. We're gonna do this more.
There's going to be more where that came from.
There's a few things now that we're live, because this would be something that if anybody wants to comment, this would be the one. Is I'm curious how we want to take this. All right, I had a few personal, not vendettas, but personal directions, and one of them was that I purposely tried to keep all politics out of the Condry to Condry show. This season, I'm saying, hey, maybe we can let it roll in. I don't want it to be a political show.
Yes.
But it's okay to let it come inside, because we also got an election coming up, right?
No.
Yes. But more than that, we're going to talk about all sorts of stuff, right?
Well, yeah,
sorts
we'll
of
talk about
stuff.
better stuff than that. But right off the bat, I was saying I'm releasing that boundary,
Uh-huh.
right? If that's a thing that we want to do, I don't know.
Well, plus, I think it would be fun to do more lifestyle stuff, too.
That lifestyle's good.
We want to tell you how to live your life.
What? Explain lifestyle to me. You guys said this before, and I was like, wait, is this a joke? Are you guys being straight with me? What's going on?
We want to
with
be
the lifestyle thing.
I want to be the Oprah of, white dudes in their, mid-20s.
Well, Joe Rogan's already taken that role.
No,
so-
he's the Oprah of dudes just in general. But I'm going for, a specific. I'm going to be a sub-Oprah under his Oprah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sub Oprah.
That's the game plan.
That's the plan.
I'm leery of all this.
Because I'm no Oprah right now. So sub-Oprah.
You're a Nopra.
Nope.
Rob Cannon.
He's here all night, and we're pouring whiskey in him as we speak.
Oh, boy.
I gotta drive home and have dinner at some point.
We can just Uber you home, dude. We'll take care of this.
But, Joe, why did it take us a year to do this?
Well,
What happened?
Oh man, that's a
yeah,
great
that
story.
actually is a great story.
Joe went on a pilgrimage.
Yeah, I did. So
This is the nicest house you've ever lived in.
This
I
is
just
where,
wanna-
yeah, it is a lot nicer. So I've traveled around the county of Sacramento.
in the 4 square mile radius.
A real vagabond.
It's been a bigger radius than that. I want to
Oh,
say.
okay.
Yeah.
What were you? Carmichael, Folsom, and now Fair Oaks.
Let's see. Rosemont.
Did you ever touch Carmichael?
Yeah, I was in Carmichael. Yeah.
I thought that was Fair Oaks. It's kind of the
No, that was
midpoint.
technically Carmichael.
Yeah.
So I did Bradshaw. No, the Bradshaw home, that was Rosemont. Hopped from Rosemont to Folsom, Folsom to Carmichael, and now here landed in Fair Oaks, Orangevale area. So, but
Oh,
in the
good
meantime,
point.
it's
It
been
could be
hard to build
Orangevale.
a new studio because we got to get located, situated. So,
We had a couple of different options,
yeah, we almost built it in a trailer.
We almost built it in a trailer.
That would have been fun.
Yeah. Well, we're
almost-
still building another studio in a trailer as we speak. That'd be a
For this
side-
show?
It's for a different show. That'd be the on-site or jumbovision.tv show.
Oh,
But-
you guys are doing like a podcast?
Yeah, so we'll be
Oh,
doing
that's
that.
dope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that should be starting up here in the next week or so.
Oh,
And what's that
cool.
all about?
Yeah, tell us more.
That one's going to be cool. So that's more the technical side, the video side of the live productions that we do, and you guys, of course, are part of.
Live productions. Who does that?
Yeah, crazy, right?
So, are you guys going to have more of a planned criteria,
Yeah.
or we're going to have a certain topic that we're going to cover today? And kind of, is it going to be like you said it was educational, right?
Yeah, very
So-
much educational.
Will it be structured like a curriculum?
So, well, we're still working out. Yeah, it would be kind of curriculum based. The idea being is that we would have multiple subjects basically describing and explaining how to do live production to the degree that we do. And so behind that, there's just a million different details about how to do it. You know, lensing and cabling and this and that. There's working with production, producing the event, power requirements, people requirements, beer requirements, blah blah blah. You know,
Beer
we have-
requirements. That's
yeah,
an important one.
that is an important
right?
one.
That's
Yeah,
like
so-
the oil that keeps the machine running.
Well, in all seriousness, that's always something that people overlook in a production is feeding everybody.
yeah,
Be it water, food, or beer.
and keeping enough pissers around.
Right.
Quite
All those
literally,
little logistical nuts and bolts that you have to have in place for your production to go smoothly, you know?
Right. It's insane. So we got to have all that going. So
expensive.
right, tons. Well, it's expensive, but there's also a lot of overhead involved. Like there's just a lot of aspects.
So you're going to be talking about like stuff that people don't really think about, maybe?
right. Yeah.
When you're doing a production?
So the idea is to essentially open up the behind the scenes to the people. You know, so showing here's what we do. And then, of course, with what we do, we know this really well, but we interact with this person who's a professional of theirs, whether it's the show producer or the logistical manager, the show, what's it called, the manager of the event itself, the producer there. Like, there's all sorts of people that have tons of different tasks, so we're bringing that together.
I mean, I learned a lot just by being in the trailer with you guys while you were, like, I kind of figured out the hierarchy just by listening to people talk to each other. And,
Right.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Immersing
interesting
yourself.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was right next to the main thing. That'll be cool.
Yeah, so it should be fun. You know, we'll get that in, and then as we get deeper into it, we'll have what's it called? Different. Like we'll describe from our aspect the professionalism, but then we'll have other people come in. So we'd have, of course, you guys could be at some point coming in and showing. What do you do, Rob? Oh, I shoot cameras. You know, like this is my role in the event. What do you do?
I get tackled by like players.
Man.
And dunked on. You get all the action.
Do like a testimonial, like this is how you survive a fall from like getting tackled.
I wish we had that footage right now to play.
I
man.
every
It's a
once in a
classic.
while, I would get like Jurassic Park flashbacks when you were doing the opening where the football players are running out of the tunnel,
Yeah.
and it like starts to get all choppy and we're losing connection. You're like, like it sounds like you're getting trampled to death. There's these giant dudes running past you. I'm like, oh no.
We had one year, but somebody got took out, and the camera we broke a camera
Oh shit.
because you know they're running single file. Well, not single file, but running, and they're not looking. And one of them kind of was in the way, and the other guy just plowed right into the
Aren't they
camera.
supposed to? They do like a Y formation around the camera
Yeah,
person.
well, they Y formation out.
So whose fault was it?
Probably the camera guys.
It's blurry, hard to decipher.
I
Is
think
there-
as a camera guy, you kind of have to expect others to be in their own world and to like almost treat you as not being there.
Yeah.
Like,
Seems
they won't
like-
just run into you, right?
Is it
But-
sort of like traffic where the default blame lies with a camera person?
Right.
Like
yeah.
you
Well, it's
know?
like a pedestrian stepping out into traffic.
Sure.
Yeah,
like
it's
your subjects always have the right of way.
Yeah.
Is it
yeah.
kind of like that?
I think that'd be a good. That's a good assumption. So yeah.
I feel like if you're just paying attention to your surroundings, but of course, it's easy for me to say that, but if you've got a camera in your hand and you're like super focused on trying to get a great shot, then, you know, it's hard to be mindful of your surroundings because you're super tunnel vision, but that's part of the job, right?
Depends where you're at though. Like we're shit. You guys weren't on the rodeo this year.
Not me.
We had a bull jump straight up and out. Well, not
What?
out. He went up vertical in the what's it called, the pits or the chutes, and that was me. But it's on me to
Yeah.
not get fucking hit. Like, it's,
Yeah.
so
I remember you doing that the year before.
Yeah.
You were doing this like, you put it on Facebook. Hey man, I'm jumping.
Running around,
you were like
yeah.
climbing over the cage where the bull was, and that was
Yeah.
like the super big. So you could have gotten skewered by that goddamn thing.
That's
Yes
actually
and
it's pretty
no,
cool
you
what you
know.
do at the rodeos because like
fun.
normally
Yeah,
you're
it
a
looks
director.
pretty. It looks pretty fun.
So like in your live production company, normally you call the shots, right?
Right. Yeah. Because usually when we do football, all three of us do college football together.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the new season.
Yeah, that's
2019.
coming up September 14th, which we might actually do little guest crossover shows.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could be a part of that. It pains me that I had to like tell Brian that I was out this year.
He's throwing his there's a good to the audience right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so when we do that, we'll probably do some crossovers where it shows us actually doing the show. If that's, I don't know, because I've actually seen, particularly with a few friends, and you know this, the career path that we're in, that little side career that we do where we do live production, we always need people, but we can't just grab anybody. You have to have some
competent,
sort of,
yeah.
competent
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
but having some prior experience helps and knowledge of what we're getting into. So the idea that we're doing with the other podcast, as well as what we might do with our crossover episodes, is have these cameras that we installed in the trailer, and we'll actually do productions live while we're doing a production that shows the behind the scenes while it's happening. So we'll have our comms tapped in, as well as cameras pointed at us, as well as a feed of the big, multi-display and all that, so people can see what's actually happening behind the scenes in a TV truck while we're...
You can release a special edition DVD box set with the behind the scenes.
Do director, do commentary.
Yeah, do come.
Yeah, do
I had a
the like
really bad
Lord of
day
the Rings
that
where there's
day.
9 hours of movies and 14 hours of special effects.
for those few people who care, But that's...
I watched them all. It was fucking awesome.
Was it?
It's like the greatest documentary ever made.
Dude, I still want to do that. I would like to do a beginning to end Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings
Oh,
of
man.
fun.
A
It
thon.
sounds like such a great idea until you get halfway through the first movie and you're like, oh no.
Yeah,
then the anxiety sets in.
You're talking just watching like the three movies, the three special extended cuts,
Yeah,
right?
extended, so director cut or whatever
And
it
then
is.
you're not talking watching the bonus features too, right? You're just talking watching the
No, just watch them
Yeah.
through as one solid movie
Oh, yeah.
would be the idea. But
yeah,
bonus
it's just like
features are
13
dope.
hours.
Just saying.
It's painful.
It's
Like, 'cause
Is it
long, it's
painful?
so
I think there's like
long.
been 2 times I've tried to do it, and it's just like when you sit still for like when you're just chilling in one spot for 6 hours, you're just like, I'm down. I'm glad I'm doing this, but also I'm not having fun. You're like, there
It
comes
was
a
like
moment.
that time. Remember when you, me, and Tim tried to beat the Legend
Ocarina
of
of
Zelda
Time,
Ocarina
yeah.
of Time in one
Yeah.
day?
Fuck,
And we got to
yes.
the Fire
Oh,
Temple, and
no,
we're all just
yeah.
like, man, we just kind of want to go outside.
like we all sat there. We're like, hey, you want to take over? We're like, I'm done.
Because you're not 10 anymore. The pain of not being 10
It's not
anymore.
painful. When you realize that you'd rather be outside doing something healthy than playing video games, I feel like that's not a bad thing.
Right, because it's like you play enough Ocarina of Time, you're like, it brings you back to your 10-year-old self, and you're like, wait a minute, now I want to like go out to a bar or something. Oh, wait, now I can go out to a bar because I'm fucking an
I
adult.
don't think we could back then, though.
No,
I
you
think
couldn't.
We were like 19, 20 when we tried this.
That's true.
Oh.
That's true.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
drank
so-
the entire time we were playing Ocarina.
I feel like
but-
I know I was hungover for most of it. And my favorite part was how pissed off Tim got in the Forest Temple.
oh
And the
Alright,
music
yeah.
started getting to you guys.
yeah. Well, so the Force Temple works for me, so I was laughing.
I hate the Forest Temple.
However,
I thought the Water Temple was the one.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
So-
yeah,
'cause it's the
three-dimensional
3D one.
shit.
Yeah,
Fun
you're
fact,
right.
us Condry brothers, actually, we're very good at the Water Temple.
Are we?
Oh.
We are.
didn't
Because
notice.
I know you're good at it,
Oh,
and then I found out that I'm good at it,
Oh shit!
but I fucking hate the Fire Temple. Like,
Fire Temple?
So it's not even like we're better at Ocarina of Time. It's just like I feel like certain people are good at certain temples.
Yeah.
Or certain people are better at other temples.
I like the Spirit Temple because it has cool music.
It does.
Ooh, the Spirit Temple is one.
It's just fun, and also you like go in as a kid first, and you have to leave and come back as an adult. Like, that's a
Yep.
cool dynamic.
Yep.
Yeah, the time.
It's
And it's
multi-dimensional.
inspirational. There's something about the colors and shit.
Ah.
I like it. Yep. Where's the Shadow Temple?
Oh, the Shadow Temple.
I don't dig that one.
Oh, it's scary.
The
It's
Shadow.
got
all right.
scary music.
I was kind of scared back then.
The Shadow Temple was legitimately scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause
And
it
then
was-
you pointed out to me that was like the dungeon where the people who ran the
the
kingdom like
Hyrule-
tortured criminals
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah, because there's torture equipment and there's like royal family crests all over the place.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh shit, this is like
So it wasn't like
It's
some
their
secret
gulag.
thing. There was,
Yeah.
it was. They knew about it.
But
Like,
that's
they were doing
realistic
stuff down there.
because if like any ruling family would have something like that. So it's just
So we're
cool.
talking
Yeah.
like the
It's just cool.
1400s, right? It's all swords.
I don't know.
and
It
swords
didn't
and
happen,
shields.
Joe's. It was
Well,
video
I'm
games.
just saying,
fancy.
if they were to place it in a time period,
Would it be 1400s? You think? I was thinking more like 600s, medieval, like Dark Ages.
I would
They
just say
had
medieval.
I don't even think
I would
they had
just say
steel.
medieval.
you could
Yeah.
definitely get a
Medieval.
jar.
You get a jar.
Yeah, they didn't have jars back
I
then.
think. I think they
jars.
did.
Well,
I think
glass
they-
jars are probably glass. I don't know when glass came about, but like jars are like one of the first things that humans did. Period.
You know
Well, they-
history. Tell me when.
They had Joe. They had stained glass windows back then.
You're right.
yeah,
That's 1400s, right?
Like I said,
No, I don't know.
glass jars. I don't know when that came about,
Talking
but like
out of my ass.
pots, like
Same.
pot jars, have been around forever.
Pot jars.
Pot like
In Zelda, they had glass
terracotta.
jars.
Terracotta. I mean,
I guess
so-
what we're
yeah.
getting at is we actually don't have any idea. So sorry.
We have no clue.
We just wasted your time.
There's gonna be a lot of that here.
But the rest of the show will be about Zelda, though. So if you're into that, stick around.
Man.
So, all right, you moved. Okay, that happened in the year.
That moved.
Joe moved.
What else have you done? What's been going on the last
What
year?
are you done?
What you been up to, Joe?
What have I done?
We haven't talked. We haven't like had a really. We haven't had like a one-on-one conversation in like a year. So let's do a bit of catching up.
That'd be one of these here. The beauty is, once again, these are one of the few times that we all don't have phones out.
Yeah.
We have drinks out. We discovered when we close the door, we come into the studio, we go into 2 a.m. bar talks mode, right? Which is beautiful.
Yeah. We just instantly go to it. Teleport.
It took like 30 seconds this time, sort of.
So
I was already drunk, so I was like, switch.
Flip the switch, you're there. Well, so what do you mean? Well, we've been working a lot. I mean, obviously, there's the working with the on-site stuff that we've been building up. Second podcast coming there to be tuned. Well,
yeah, the production one.
yeah, we'll add links on the Condry to Condry channel. There's that.
Oh, and Robin.
How about Book Quest?
yeah, Book
we've
Quest.
got
How
our
about,
podcast.
how about book? We
Yeah,
gotta
there
we
you
gotta
go.
release an episode at some point,
Yeah.
like maybe next year.
So you got because you guys now did we ever tease that on the show?
I think
I
we
don't
did
think
it
so.
after. Yeah, Book Quest. We didn't even have the name Book Quest during the show. Like that came about like
A couple
few
of months
Yeah,
ago.
a few months ago, which is an amazing name. Like
Yeah, it's a great name.
it was
It's
one of those
perfect.
names.
It's
As soon as it
absolutely
came about, we were
perfect.
just like, yes.
Yeah,
That's what's up.
it was Willie's idea. Willie gets the credit for that
Well,
one.
originally
Do I?
it was a
Yeah.
side quest was the idea, right?
Well,
No,
no,
Book
Book
Quest.
Quest was like
Yeah.
Willie and I wanted. It started out with that disaster Gulag Archipelago
yeah,
show that
yeah,
we
yeah,
did.
yeah.
We did like 3, and it was miserable. And then we were like, dude, let's just do audio.
Yeah.
Because we kept having problems with the hard drives and the cameras not having batteries and a bunch of like we had to
Live
switch
production
the battery.
issues.
Yeah, we had.
We didn't know how to do live production, Joe. Do you know where we could
It's
find
hard.
an educational
If only-
source?
If only you had an expert that could help.
Yeah, if only he had been there when we were going.
Oh,
Joe, where are you?
I think. Well, I gave you the gear, but I think something. No. I remember. I remember now. I said use the switcher, just run the show live, and you're like, no, we want to edit it later.
We did say that.
I stand by that because
Yeah, I
it
do
would have
too.
been trash. Like our show
Like
would
our
have
show.
suffered even more.
Like this show.
Well, hey, you're usually not switching it though.
That's true.
Like-
Yeah, usually it's a lot better.
I'm usually in the other room switching for
when
you.
you're switching,
so.
it's a million times better.
It-
but
it-
we had it. This is our wet run. Going with it.
This isn't the top of the the whatever.
We swear it gets better.
It gets better.
That's
With
all
Book
uphill
Quest,
from
like
here.
whenever we'd go into like an off-topic tangent on like Legend of Zelda, we would have to edit that out.
We could cut
So
it
that's why
out.
we had to like cut that one. But in Contra to Contra, it's not a bug. That's
Anything
not a problem.
goes,
It's a
baby.
feature.
yeah, it's just we just roll with it. That's beautiful. So, anyways, Book Quest you
Book
did
Quest.
for a while. So you
For a
went
couple of
audio
nerds,
only
yeah.
on it, right?
Oh yeah, so audio only because of all the camera shit, and we can just do it in my house. I bought a couple of mic stands, and I already had that Zune that you gave me years ago. So I just
Right.
like plug it all in, record, and I edited everything in Audacity, which is freeware.
Solid.
It's awesome. So,
Audacity, hold on. Can we give like a round of applause at Audacity?
Dude,
Or
yeah.
I'll
Because like that thing has saved my ass so many times.
I've been using Audacity
I
since
like-
I was 11 years old or
yeah,
something. like that.
Audacity's dope.
Always been
I
free,
Found it.
and-
So what's funny is I
Yeah.
found it on accident on LimeWire. Y'all remember that?
That dates you.
Oh, man.
So I typed in like you remember you could download music and porn mainly, but I was like
Mostly
mainly-
just porn.
Mostly just porn.
Whether you were trying to
Music,
get it
yeah.
or not.
Yeah, because you download music and then the MP3 wasn't actually an MP3; it was like an AVI. You're like, what the fuck is this? And yeah. But I tried downloading audio editing software, and Audacity popped up on LimeWire. And I'm like, fuck it, what the fuck's this? I tried it, downloaded it, turned out to be pretty cool. It was like 3 years later that I found out it was freeware that I could have gotten from a clean source.
You probably got like the virus version.
Yeah,
Some,
probably.
like,
Yeah.
From
Virus.
1998.
However, I've stated this before on the show, viruses on my computer helped me later on in my career.
You did mention that in a previous show.
Yeah, this is vaguely.
I don't remember the story, but anyone who's listening is curious. Go back to.
I give you the
show.
I don't know which episode, but I'll give you the quick gist. It's that I downloaded some. I was at your house. I lived at your house. Remember, there was because I used to have the Ubuntu machine, right? That you were like, "Hey, are you using that today?" Because you had internet
Ubuntu, like Linux.
that I linked over. Yeah, it was Linux that I was running on my laptop,
Okay.
and you didn't have the wire going upstairs yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so whenever I'd use that machine, you got internet without having to run that stupid cable upstairs.
Yeah, we drilled the little hole through the wall.
We drilled the hole through the wall, and I was
Still
basically
there.
a wireless bridge. But so I was on Windows, scrolling through one day, and I saw this link, and it's like to see, what was it? It's to see an entire foot go inside a woman, and I was like, gotta see that.
You want to say that again?
It was to see an entire foot. Like, click here to see this guy's foot go
This is
inside.
Okay.
like a typical.
Where
foot,
else
like,
are you gonna see
yeah,
that?
it was the side. Is the
It's like a
sidebar, yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal foot.
I don't. The picture was pretty vague, but I wanted to click to see because I was curious, right?
Wow.
So I clicked on the link, and then my screen turned blue. And so I was like, "Fuck, this sucks." Like,
That
I'm
sucks. You'll
stuck,
never
so-
see the video.
well, yeah, because I was bummed. A,
Yeah.
and then two, I was like,
The
"Fuck,
main
"They
downer.
got me!" Like they
got me.
They baited me like nobody's
feds.
business. Yeah, somebody got me.
Oh.
So it took me like 3 days to solve this. Later on, like 2 years later, I was working for the county, saw this like bug that crashed our entire system, and it went straight to blue screen. And I was like, I kind of recognize this.
Who was looking at foot porn?
Yeah, I was wondering how that's even possible because this machine we actually had off the internet, but somehow I guess a flash drive got plugged into it. Probably who knows who did it. I don't know. But I was like, I know how to solve this problem.
The Avengers theme starts playing.
Pretty bad.
I can be of assistance.
So, anyways, live a little. Fucking. That's living a little. I
Live a
guess.
little.
Yeah, live a little.
Well, no one's gonna like be surprised when like the 20-something-year-old is like, I know how to deal with this like virus-related problem.
It's true. Yeah. So it worked because I blended in that sense. You're like, oh, you just know computers. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Figured it out. So, anyways, back to the original. We take it back. What were we? What was
Broadcasting, professional
Broadcasting,
Joe
yes.
Condry.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we were talking.
Well, we were
about,
talking about
I think
BookQuest.
We were
Book
mainly,
Quest,
we were
yeah,
mainly
yeah.
talking about Zelda.
BookQuest.
No!
No, it was before Book. It was BookQuest. You were doing the thing. Hang
So
on.
what is BookQuest?
BookQuest is
It's a quest of
where we
books.
go onto someone else's podcast and promote our own show.
Yeah.
What?
It's a,
No, okay, so I'm gonna really try and like do this succinctly. So BookQuest is when
Elevator pitch, Rob?
Willie and I wanted to make a podcast about reading books, and we were like, let's do audio. We did audio. Oh, we were talking about LimeWire.
That's
and
right, LimeWire
Okay,
Audacity. That's
all right,
where it is.
So
We gave the round of applause. You edited on it. Yeah.
BookQuest is Willie and I read books and analyze / review / just talk about the books and kind of like peel it open. And talk about what's going on inside the books, what we think about it, and like recommend it to people or say avoid this book. I think everything we've recommended so far, like we don't read shitty books because that's a waste of time. And honestly, most books, even if they're shitty by maybe technical standards, there's something you can get out of it.
Right.
Like a book is an incredible value.
Have we-
It's something.
Have
what?
we read a book that neither of us had read before? I don't know if we've
I
done
hadn't
that.
read The Art of War or the.
Okay.
I hadn't read any of the ancient books.
Oh, and Gilgamesh. I
yeah,
actually
Gilgamesh.
had. I hadn't
Gilgamesh is such a great story. Holy
Yeah.
shit! I didn't know about that one.
And another thing,
We don't need to talk about that because we already did a show on it.
Well, another thing we do is like, and we don't really
Well,
like.
we could
plan
drop
this,
a link to the show too.
and
we
will.
could if there was
There
a link
was
to the
there
show.
is a link
Oh.
because it's still in like pre-production technically.
It is. It's in pre-production because I've made my final cuts. Like I've done 2 drafts on our first show, and Willie wants to do his cut, but he's
Slacking.
he's dragging his feet. So
A little,
Slacking.
a little
so
bit.
I mean, so we just need to figure out like what and we're also not sure what exactly we want to do yet. We're still juggling like, do we want to do a high production show or do we want to just keep it more conversational or something in between? So
Because that was part of it. Is you guys wanted to have something with a little structure that was cleaner.
That's why the editing is necessary, because we want to make sure we get our facts right. We want to have time to double check things during the you check the book or check the phone just to make sure that you are not giving out misinformation, because that would be the most embarrassing thing, is to be like, just to say something is totally incorrect about a book or the book's content,
especially when you just read the book.
Yeah,
you're supposed to know it really well at this
Dude.
point. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like a lot of things,
that's a failure.
We don't even know what we're going to talk about. Kind of like this show, we don't know what we're going to exactly talk about until
because you both read the book. Is that how?
Yeah, we read the book and then we like get together and we each have like talking points that we want to talk about. We don't even, there's not even a thing that we do beforehand where we're like, all right, let's see if we can like coordinate our talking points where we're like kind of talking about the same thing. We just like come in and talk about the book.
Yeah.
Because it's like a total, the way I see it, we're basically recording a book club. It's like a book club that you would have where you get together and you just kind of like have a conversation about the book.
Well, that's part of what we discovered here, where if we talk too much before the show, we run out of fresh. Yeah. It's not fresh. What happens is the reactions are insincere or ingenuine.
Yeah.
We're not actually hearing it for the first time, so we're like, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to be surprised right now. Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, because we're conversationalists. We're not like actors. We're not really good at rehearsing a planned dialogue.
Right.
If we want to like if we want to sell something that we believe, we kind of have to just do it genuinely.
Well, yeah, you are believing it at that point. It's totally 100% real.
We can't like say it and then like say it just like that when we actually are recording. And so, but the only downside is like with Book Quest, it is more content oriented. Like we are trying to like be entertaining and have like everything that we're saying be like at least fact checked and like more or less sound. And so that's
and condensed as well, so there's not a lot of like, float space. You're getting like here's information, entertainment,
right?
Because like funny stuff happens.
Yeah.
We're kind of humorous guys. We're goofy guys.
Hey, we're radio personalities.
Yeah, we're
shit.
personalities. You're not just paying your time for the information.
Right.
You're also hanging out with Rob and Willie talking about books.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Plus, not every show is like amazing where you're like super excited about it, because like some shows we come in and it's just like. It just wasn't like we didn't have like a super like sparking conversation, and that was like that was our earlier ones. That was our earlier ones too. Okay. Like we kind of like got at like our first show is more or less like a lost show.
Yeah,
because it's
all good though. Like we learned a lot from the Gulag Archipelago. We didn't learn how to say Gulag Archipelago, the title of the book.
It's like we mispronounce like everything that we say in our show too. There's so many nuances.
No, it's I had the worst time with the Russian. The Japanese stuff, the Chinese stuff.
Because you're a weeb.
I guess so.
I'm not as much of a weeb, I guess. I was like tripping over every Japanese name, like gringoing it.
Yeah, major gringo.
Yeah, it's Musa over here.
Oh man.
So wait, so how are the books all historical based, or what's?
Well, Willie had the idea to do it kind of in units, where we do
units,
like. Our first 3 books were historical.
Right.
World War II kind of.
Like they're all World War II based. Yeah.
Around that time.
Soldiers Alive, which is an awesome... Oh, fuck, I'm not going to go through all of them. Never mind.
Well, I can do it. Gulag was like about...
Does he have it? Yeah.
It was kind of about like the Soviet Union's prison system. And then we did... But that pertains to World War II because like...
And written by a guy who was in it. So it was like... It's really interesting.
Yeah, it was this guy he was a Soviet like officer, I think. He fought in World War II, and as soon as he got back from World War II...
Dude, they pulled him out of active duty to throw him into prison. While he was on a ship, they're like,
for no good reason.
He wrote a letter to his friend, like, doubting the regime, and they pulled him off of his ship and just threw him in a...
Yeah, he was like, the Communist Central Party may not be right. He was like, the Communist Central Party may not be right 100% of the time. They were just like, you fucked up. What did you just say, my brother? How dare you imply that we're not... Like, that we're possibly fallible, like, at least some of the time. So, yeah, he went to prison. And that happened, like, right after World War II. So that was kind of like a World War II book. I know, commies.
They were commies.
They were.
They were so communist. I can't even begin to tell you.
They're as communist as you can get.
So there's only one thing I'd like to slightly interject. Just because we'll keep going with the list on that. But has anybody... You guys have both watched The Stranger Things recently?
I haven't seen season 3.
Okay. I won't give any spoilers away because it happens in the first episode, but what I do like...
I did see that one.
is that what they did is they returned to the Steven Spielberg style of there's a common enemy. Like you remember Indiana Jones? Enemy. Who's the enemy?
There's Nazis.
Nazis. See, it's
Nazis.
Nazis.
I hate
Just
these
that-
guys.
For some reason, I was like
Nazis.
digging through Temple of Doom.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you asked that, I was like, who is the enemy?
Who's the enemy?
Yeah.
That's the one movie without Nazis.
Yeah, there's no Nazis in Temple of Doom.
The enemy is Steven Spielberg in that
Yeah,
movie.
but yeah, that's a good point.
Enemy of the franchise.
Snakes. Wait, no, snakes.
Yeah, snakes.
Snakes.
And
Snakes on a plane, too.
and Guru Mash or whatever his name was. However you said it. in the last-
Kalima.
Yeah. Kalima. Yeah.
Oh.
But so what they did, I'm a fan of this. They brought it back to the very simple. Who's the enemy in Stranger Things? Season 3? Commies. Russians.
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
Not just communists, all
It's,
Russians.
it's Russians.
Everyone
Russia's
from,
trying to take
from
over.
the
Yeah.
Eastern European part
Granted,
of the world.
it's a time period. I'm sure. Like it's the whole like Iron Curtain still up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Iron Curtain's up. Like obviously time period based, but nonetheless, Russians enemies. Simple, right? I kind of like that simple like style.
We like to know who to hate.
Makes life easier.
Valid point.
Yeah.
That's why it's so easy for people to make like World War II movies in America, and there's a fucking guy with a machine gun in front of an American flag just gunning people down. It's because he's killing bad guys.
Right, bad guy. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see Dunkirk?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I did see I saw that movie.
Yeah.
I gotta recommend it because like
It's cool.
in that movie they take the Nazis and they don't like have any scene where like Nazis are getting killed and it's like yay fuck those Nazis the entire time. They hardly ever show Nazis.
It feels like they're a monster. Like
Yeah.
it's a horror movie because there's always like a loud the gunshots are like jarringly loud.
Okay.
And the music is like scary. Hans Zimmer does the soundtrack. You'd
Oh
love
well,
it.
that's what.
Yeah, a lot of
Hans Zimmer-
It's
Fuck.
a
Shit.
Christopher Nolan movie. I don't know if
Yeah.
you knew that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And then you never see the Germans. Like you never see their faces, so they feel like
They're
a
monsters,
scary, like a
'cause
scary monster.
It's unknown.
Yeah, they'll be
Yeah,
like
people
chilling on the beach.
People fear the unknown. It's one
Yeah.
of them psychological bullshits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll just
Yeah.
be like chilling on the beach, and then you won't even see the planes, but you'll just see like the bullets like,
Yeah.
and they'll be get down, and everybody will like hit the sand, and you never see the airplanes, but you like hear them doing their passes and stuff, and it just the camera's like focusing on their like reactions,
Does it do the shaky camera thing where it's
Oh,
kinda, yeah.
and it's so cool because it feels like you're like a body on the ground,
You're
and
disoriented a little bit, and
you're never like fuck those Nazis the entire time. You're like oh man the Nazis they're scary,
you're just terrified of them.
they're
yeah.
gonna corner me.
I don't even think they say Nazis once in the movie. It's
I don't
the
think so,
Germans because that's
'cause
the.
it was-
It's not an
yeah.
ideological thing. It's just
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
British versus the Germans
Right. Dude.
Christopher Nolan
because it was a war. I mean, yeah.
That guy, it's just crazy. That guy, he makes like movies of all sorts of genres, and he just nails them every time. Like he even did a superhero film. And
Well, all he
nailed
has
it.
to do is here's the thing. Nolan's great, but I think it's because of Zimmer.
Yeah, Zimmer.
You put Zimmer
It's
on
just
any
the
movie,
music.
yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah, it's just but we know this that the music makes the movie,
Yeah,
right? Not entirely makes the movie, but it is very much so
It adds
that
a lot to it.
you can have
I've seen great movies that have no music.
really
It depends on the movie.
because I was
Well,
literally
yeah,
about
it depends on the movie. If it didn't depend on the movie, then it wouldn't matter.
Well,
but here's the thing is though is I was about to say the opposite is that you can have great radio shows. They've had those for years. But to have a silent film be great is kind of hard to do. Whereas most movies, you can have shitty movies.
Well, we're so
great
used to
soundtrack.
being like having our senses assailed by movies with super intense visuals and audio stuff that it's hard to go back to a silent movie and be thrilled by it. I don't think most people who are, modern day individuals, I don't think anyone's around that used to watch silent movies. It's not in their hundreds.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't
mostly
know.
dead.
I haven't done the
I don't
math
know.
on
Yeah.
this.
Right.
I mean, some people like because I mean, there's some things that were cool about the silent films. Like, you watch like Buster Keaton or like the Hitler-looking guy. I'm sorry, Charlie Chaplin.
Chaplin.
Yeah, there we go.
The Hitler bit Charlie Chaplin style.
I mean,
I'll have you know.
in my defense, he did do a movie where he dressed up like Hitler.
I call The Dictator.
Yeah, it's a fantastic.
He has a
film.
great speech in that, though. It's not a silent film.
Yeah, it was his first non-silent film,
That's
right?
true. Yeah, I think it was.
It was,
I'm
yeah.
talking out of my ass. I might be wrong,
Amazing
but
speech,
it's
yeah.
entirely possible.
I don't know
I
if it's his
fucking-
first or last, but he
Ooh,
does do a
yeah.
great speech. Like
I
that
do
speech
love
is
that
actually
film, yeah.
legit. Worth checking out.
Yeah,
But silent films still suck dick.
they do, but I think
we
I
can
know.
just say
wait,
that.
All right, silent films suck, but there's things we can learn about them.
Silent films suck. Are you willing to put your name behind that statement?
Okay.
That's so blunt, man.
I'll put it down.
Let's talk about this. All right, silent films. All right, if we're gonna take out the sensationalism, silent films have a huge drawback, and that is that they're limited by their sound quality, and that they only have like a backtrack.
They have no sound
They have a
quality at
backtrack.
all.
That is their sound.
Oh, it's just like a
The
piano
backtrack,
going.
yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Air did a soundtrack
which
to
is part
the,
of it. It is part of it.
Journey to the Moon, that old French movie.
Oh, that was that's a classic for other reasons. I think it had the first special effects ever.
Oh,
used.
really?
I think so. Yeah, I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I did a project on that in college one time.
Oh, cool.
I can't recall anything more than that. We'll revisit this at another time.
I am super in disagreement with you guys, and I can't wait
Okay.
to have my chance.
Can I modify my
my
statement?
shot at love with Tila Tequila?
Now that I've
What's
gotten
up?
my like clickbait headline out of the way, I want to like actually. So, like, you know how like when someone becomes blind, their like other senses become really like sharply tuned.
Yeah.
Silent films, because they don't have audio, they have to rely
this
on
is
like
where I was gonna go.
visual impacts.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to say is like, there's a lot we can learn from silent films, because like in like Buster Keaton or like Charlie Chaplin films, like dude, some of those antics that they would do, like the comical, like, oh, I'm trying to think of like some of them. Like I'm thinking of there's this Charlie Chaplin film, Hard Times, I think it is, the one where it's like during the Depression, but he's like on roller skates and he does this thing where he's like, it looks like he's about to like, he's like leaning backwards and he's gonna like fall like 3 stories, but it wasn't like that at all. They just did tons of like cool little like practical effect things where like they would literally use a painted background and make you think that it was like real.
Mhm.
But the video quality was so poor that you couldn't tell that it was fake and painted. It was a beautiful era, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Rob roll into it.
All right.
Yeah.
But other
So
than that, not having sound is a stupid like drawback.
yeah,
It's a stupid limitation.
Of course, it's a limitation of the technology.
Right.
Of
but
course.
as in every other medium or type of artwork that has ever existed, limitation is often the greatest mother of invention. You know,
Okay,
of,
that's good. Damn it,
of
Rob.
ingenuity.
Necessity
came in hot with
isn't what
something.
was it
So-
like? Necessity is, oh, I forget this
The
phrase.
mother of invention.
There it
yeah,
is, Rob.
there
Yep.
we go. You're so good at this.
So,
Keep going.
and Parrot, and I'm going to piggyback off of a point that Willie made, which is that when you don't have sound to rely on, you have a bigger responsibility to make the visuals great and compelling, and also the audience is more focused on the visuals because they're not distracted by music, because music is often used to manipulate the audience.
Yes.
Sound effects doing the same thing. Like if we're talking about Lord of the Rings, I think the Khazad-dûm bridge scene in the Fellowship of the Ring, it's the part where they're running through the place that looks like hell, and the big scary devil monster comes out of the fire and it's like da da da, and it's like scary music.
Yeah.
And then they get to the bridge and it's like wah 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 wah, and then they jump across the bridge and then it goes suddenly totally changes gears and goes to the heroic theme.
Yeah.
And then they get to the cross and the devil comes out and then it goes back to the like evil music. So that's the music is telling you, it's commanding you how to feel.
But then it goes
in
back
that
to the
scene.
heroic when like Gandalf, because like Gandalf like is like you.
My
shall not
but my
pass."
point is that the music is
Yeah.
making an attempt to control your emotions.
Oh hell yeah!
And
that's his
but
job.
it's incredibly blunt. Like I'm just giving you a super bold example of that, right?
Yeah.
So in silent films, you don't have that. Like they do have some kind of backing music, and a lot of them had like a live musician in the theater, that kind of thing. But the reliance, the people making the movies had to rely on visuals, and well, there you go. I don't know.
Well, so here's one. I know you definitely watched them. When did you stop watching Game of Thrones? Let me press that button.
When they outran the books.
Okay, so that was
I
back
didn't
in
wanna
season.
spoil anything, but
Well,
now I don't give
no,
a shit.
we also
That was
don't give a fuck
jaded. That was a
because
good
if-
call.
If people, if
It
here's
turned
the
out
thing-
that was a good call.
well, no, it was a smart move. But here's the point: is if nobody's watched it, they can also suck a dick. It's been long enough. Spoiler alerts are a thing of the past at this point here, dude.
Snape kills Dumbledore.
It's been like 2 months since the last season of Game of Thrones came out.
I actually have not been spoiled on the ending of Game of Thrones.
well, because there's
so
nothing to
so
spoil.
lay it on me.
Yeah, so there's nothing to spoil.
Oh,
A.
it sucks. I know that. I know that sucks.
But
I thought I ruined it for you.
well,
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
It's that much of an
it is-
impact
It
on
was
me.
that unforgettable.
There's
like,
2
I barely
points.
remember it.
There's 2 points because I watched Stranger Things the entirety of the last season or the 3rd season.
Was it
Maybe there's
good?
another one. I don't know. It was great.
Oh, cool.
Here's how I know. last episode of the last season when they were closing everything up, I was almost in tears. It was beautiful.
Oh, and season 3 of Strangers.
Season 3 of Stranger Things.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Nice.
No, it was. They tied everything together. There was some losses in characters that were heartfelt. Like it sucked. There was also things that then they punch you in the heart and they punch you in the gut. Like they get you good.
Sounds like an attack.
Yeah, you know what happens in season 8, the last season of Game of Thrones? They kill people off and nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
It's
It's life.
I stopped caring after last season.
Yeah, because like
they killed off a whole series of books. And no one cares.
Yeah, nobody. Well, the point was because before that in the show, they kill people, and everybody the next week they'd be talking about it. The next day, everybody's like, "Oh, I can't believe they." The last season happened. They're just like, "Well, that sucked," because nobody cared that the people.
They're reflecting
died.
the attitude of the viewership.
Right.
We're talking about the last
No one
season.
cares
Of Game of
anymore.
Thrones.
Well, it's
I'm gonna need to
but I
drink
think it was
more.
yeah. He's gonna drink. So, point being,
Ay.
And
you were reading the books before the show came out, right?
I am a book fan.
So, well, let me take it back one step.
I read the books
before we get too much
You
on.
did read them before I did. Good job.
No, I didn't. No, I was read the books before because people were watching the show and talking about it. So you're more of an OG than I am. I'm sorry, Joe. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're all
rude.
good. Yeah, all good.
We're so rude.
That was bad broadcasting.
You need some
Yeah,
more?
we suck.
Yep.
We're also
Hang on.
drinking, so.
You. Here you go. Anyways, we're a family-friendly show.
So,
here.
well, the reason I brought this up was that prior to season 8 sucking dick, I was interested in it a lot. So I started doing this thing where I'd like watch YouTube videos about the fucking lore of Game of Thrones. Right?
Oh, fun.
Not that exciting. It was great
If they
stuff.
talk about the books, that would be fucking
It's
boring.
great stuff to fall asleep to, but it really was not entertaining. It
sucks.
put you, it knocked you out quick.
Great stuff to fall asleep to.
Yeah. So I was watching that, but one of them got me caught was that I was started focusing on the soundtracks. Now the soundtracks of that show, something that they had been doing actually way back further than I realized they'd been doing it, is that they had I don't remember the term for it, but there's musical melodies.
Motifs.
That's it. Yep, motif. You would know it. You're working in music like you do.
Hell yeah. I love them.
So they had motifs laid out throughout the entire show where they built per family, like Stark.
Yeah. Oh, they're so sad. The Stark motifs would always be so fucking somber. Even
Yeah.
in the first season before they got fucked.
Yeah, either way, but they were always, so they had different motifs per different families, right? And what they would do is then it would actually tell essentially kind of a tale beyond, like subconsciously it would tell you what's going on. Go for it, Willie. So the idea is like the Red Wedding, for example, which was a Lannister like win. So it was all cheery, and then what happens is that the music changed. It started playing a Lannister tune. The motif.
Oh, like before
Oh,
the
yeah.
twist
Before the
happened?
shit went down.
Okay.
And that's where-
Oh, you're talking about Reigns of
that's cool.
Castamere, right?
Yeah, Reigns of Castamere. Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be
So-
all triumphant in the Red Wedding, but then like later in the show when the Lannisters would kind of get in their
there's
due.
a turn right when your stomach starts to be like, wait, something's up. It's because the music changes from the all triumphant to it's changed to the Lannister motif.
That's very elegant viewer engineering.
Right. No, so what it was is it tells if people know what's actually going on, they could read into it. But most people know without, like, they know something's up.
You didn't notice it, but your brain did.
Exactly. Subconscious. And that's the beauty of it, is that for the first many seasons. Come on, man.
No Coke?
You impatient drum.
So for the first many seasons, they were doing this great, right? Where they would play these motifs, they would lay these undertones. The last season kind of just didn't really do it at all. And when
They did have a motif, and it was "You are my queen." They repeated that so many times. Throughout, like,
garbage.
that was like John's new motif was "You are my queen."
Yeah.
I'm so glad I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't want it. I don't want it.
Anyways, so yeah, the point wasn't to actually talk about how bad the last season was, even though we did.
I guess if you talk objectively about the series, that's where you end up.
Yeah, that's where you end up. The point was to actually point out how brilliant it was that they used these
That is
underlying
cool.
tunes.
I didn't know that.
This is relevant to a topic that's been reoccurrent throughout the show, and that is that like music in shows and like movie series, like the quality of the writing may go down, but the music always tends to like keep going. Like
true.
in the Star Wars movies, like Last Jedi, maybe like the writing was like, but John Williams, he's always killing
He's
it.
on it.
Yeah, and the
John
prequels,
Williams.
like
When's he gonna
episodes
kick the
1,
bucket?
2,
Oh,
and
the
3.
prequels has
Shut
really
your
good
mouth.
score,
He's
for sure.
immortal.
No, he's not.
He will never die.
He can die at some
He
point.
will
It makes
never
me sad.
die.
Trust me, it makes me sad. How many times how many times have we gone to see him live?
Yeah, and he's always been like healthy. He's never gonna die.
The last time he had a little stumble.
You know what? So maybe he got pregame. Maybe pregame before Honcho. Come on, he's John fucking Williams. I'm
We
spilling
should have him
ice
on the
cubes.
show and ask him what
God,
he drinks.
I'm getting so excited. I'm spilling
Right.
ice cubes.
No, it's a good
One
point,
at a
though.
time.
Yeah,
We
one.
have to do them one at a time.
So this is another one we're definitely getting bigger ice cubes for the next. This
Well,
whole
they
like,
did melt.
they were already small to start with, and then they're melting on top of that.
You're wrecking those ice cubes' self-confidence, man. They're not small.
They're going to perform even more poorly now.
Yeah, man.
They're ice cubes.
Keep it
They
chill.
are going to perform poorly. We know this because they're small to start with.
That's true.
But anyways, yeah, that's. I don't care how you lay it.
We've talked about a lot of important things today. You know,
We have.
we've come a long way.
Come along. Wait, what were we saying? Oh, we're 45 actually.
Yeah, you're not about to
We're
pour
not
me
e-
a fresh drink and start wrapping it up.
Yeah, he was trying to wrap it up just then.
We're not even.
He's taking the lead.
We're not even halfway done.
And
man.
hey, let's just.
How long does BookQuest go sometimes?
Like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
On a
You guys-
really
you guys
solid
roll.
Yeah.
one. Well, sometimes we get a book that, like, I think Gilgamesh was probably our long. We did Epic
yeah.
of Gilgamesh, which was probably my favorite book that we've done.
So Rob, bring
And,
that
like-
bring that a little closer. I'm gonna bring your mic down.
Oh,
So that way
sorry.
it's less echoey. There you go.
You guys get to
There
see
you
the
go.
technical
So I'm a
fixings.
mic eater for sure. Like
No, it's good.
and I have a really like I have an aggressive voice.
No,
So
you got, it's a good voice. You
I-
got
I
a
don't wanna-
face for radio, dude. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
fuck you.
You're a strong baritone for sure. Maybe.
What was I talking? Oh, Gilgamesh. We had to do a two-parter because we had so much to say about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those stories that you read it and you're like, holy shit.
Right.
I wrote about this in one of my recent blogs. Oh fuck. I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to talk about my blog. I'm not going to do it.
No, I was gonna
What is
ask you.
your blog?
This is
Wait.
why I stopped. I was
Wait,
gonna ask you
whoa.
about this before the show.
You have a blog?
Yeah, I've been.
What is
so
your
I
blog?
started this shit,
That's
and then we
embarrassing.
both agreed
Yeah.
that we'd wait until the show.
I was
started.
going to wait until someone else brought it up. So
Yeah.
okay.
I didn't know you had a blog.
Nah, it's
Tell me
been cool. I'm
I
actually
wa-
digging this
I want to
shit.
know about this.
Yeah.
now.
Well, it's on my website. It's called
Okay.
Rob Cannon's Brain Teeth. My website is
We don't have titles right now. So,
Oh.
yeah.
rcannon. Wait.
R for Rob.
Yeah, rcannon.design.
So had we
How
thought
many
about this a
ends?
little more,
2 ends?
dude, I could
This
have
is-
totally given
this
you a
is something
graphic.
I didn't know for a while. I didn't know if you had
But-
2 ends or 1 end.
I'll
It's
take it.
cannon, like,
Two ends, like
yeah, like the
artillery style.
like the projectile, not
Yeah.
like
I
the,
can't build one fast.
meaning according to the official storyline, not that kind of
good.
cannon.
Neither could I. That's why I'm painting cameras.
Hey,
That's a video production joke.
that was. I got it. That's cute,
Dude.
it's cute. I liked
got
it.
it, too.
So, anyways, your blog. Tell me about it. What's up,
My
dude?
blog.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So the reason I didn't want to like talk about it and bring it up is because it's really not a huge deal. I decided to start doing this blog because it was suggested to me by, not personally,
Okay.
it wasn't suggested to me. It was suggested by a guy named Seth Godin, who has a cool blog. He does a blog every day, and he says,
Yeah.
you should do a blog every day. Because it's like a journal. You know,
Dude,
you write your thoughts down, and it helps you process them like inside your own mind.
Yeah.
And also, if you have a public place where you're putting out your thoughts, if you make a prediction, if you talk about a thing that you're doing, and something comes up later, you can look back and go, oh, I predicted that, or you know, or whatever. Or
Well,
you have a reference to go to, or I came up with that idea. There's that function, and I've also found that if I'm writing a blog and I'm just putting down my objective thoughts, kind of like flow of consciousness, not worrying about quality. I don't want to send people there thinking that they're going to get like some piece of wisdom every day.
Right.
But I'm just putting my thoughts down, and I'm going like, here's what I'm thinking about. And that also like keeps me in tune with reality and the people I'm interacting with. How are people perceiving me?
Yeah, dude.
Keeps me kind of like from contradicting myself, or if I'm thinking about like telling somebody something that's not true, I'll go like, not that I have that inclination to lie, but you know what I mean.
No, but what it is, it keeps you in check.
It's definitely
you can view back on your past intentions and whatnot.
It's kind of a self-discipline crutch in a certain way, kind of like that. So, and yeah. Well, it's been fun.
Yeah,
I'm about 7 days in, and I'm digging it.
Dude, keep doing it.
Yeah, I think so. Have you guys read them at all, or like I don't know?
So, well, I read a couple of them, right?
Okay.
Oh man, coming in. So yeah, I read a couple of them because you've been posting them. It's via your website, but you post the link on your on Facebook.
Yeah, I post them on social media.
Yeah. And so what's cool,
complete with a hipstery photograph.
Yeah. The hipstery photograph really ties it together,
It feels like it fits the whole blog thing.
Yeah. It's the idea. It fits perfectly. What I like though is there's a few keys that it hits. Right, there's a self-discipline. Like, I can't remember the guy who does it, but he's one of them like motivational speaker kind of or motivational kind of people. Mm. He was like an ex-Navy SEAL or some shit, and his original quote was, "Wake up and make your bed every day." Right. The idea
that's a classic. Yeah,
it's a classic. Like, make your bed because then you've accomplished something.
Yes.
So the idea being
if you don't make your bed, or if you hit your snooze alarm, you start your day off with a failure.
Right. Right. Yeah. So the idea being like with your blog.
I love that.
It's
Are you talking about Jocko Willink?
It might very well be Jocko. Well, he wakes up and fucking does.
I'm not trying to. No one
can beat.
I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
No, but I listened to his podcast, and he's got a lot of great advice like that.
His is intense. It's a little dry. Is the tricky one. Like, it's an acquired taste. No, I'd say it's an acquired. Hang on, let me say that again.
Good.
There it is. Yeah, your volume was off. I had to tweak it.
We gotta shut this guy up.
But so first off, you start with that, which is beautiful because I've tried to do the blogs. I have a blog that I started like 3 years ago, and I did a total of like 5 of them, and I haven't touched it since. And it makes me feel bad because it's essentially the same style blogs that I've followed, where there's a computer programmer he's a professor. It's called can't remember the name of it. It'll come up later in the show. I'll just pop out with it. But he essentially goes on little rants, and it's great. Like, he's extremely intelligent when it comes to computer programming, voiced pretty damn well in my opinion on social matters and whatnot. And so one of the few I caught him on was different subjects where he'd break into like explanations on. So there was like the Google guy who was talking about like females trying to enter the programming workspace, and he had his own take on it, which was great. The way that he explained it, he's like, let's look at the facts here, let's not get crazy, let's not get socially correct, let's not get blah blah blah. And then he broke it down, and then of course he goes into his own thing, which is his things that he cares about. He does a lot of Dungeons and Dragons.
What a fucking nerd.
He's a nerd. Now that I'm coming clean, I literally read a blog. It's nerdy as fuck. I don't really care. I got into it. Like, I followed it and
just so you know, Joe, you don't play Dungeons and Dragons by proxy, just by reading his blog.
I know this.
Okay,
I know that.
Just making sure.
I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, but I legit.
Initiative.
Well, no, because I'll go into a little bit of detail on it. It actually is pretty exciting because the way that he'd go into detail on these story types, he'd break down tropes. Right, there's the elf trope, the zombies, and all that. He had an entire series of blogs talking about why my zombies are different. He talks about like, okay, there's a few different types of zombies.
This is the programmer guy?
There are.
Programmer guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are. Yeah,
it's fun. No, I'm not an expert on it, but like I've heard other wannabe experts on it.
Hang on, we gotta tweak your mic.
Yeah, turn the room mic down.
Well, I'm turning. Oh, that's Rob's. That's why. There you go.
Interesting. Yeah, no. All I know is that there's like night
there
of
it
the
is. I found Willie's. I've been turning the wrong knob.
I'm sure this guy could explain it a lot better, but there's like Night of the Living Dead zombies who are like, they're like walking, they're like,
yeah,
and like the Walking Dead. I think Walking Dead walkers.
Yeah,
and then there's like 28.
Yeah.
Then there's 28 days / 28 weeks later
ones.
zombies where they're like,
yeah,
constantly high.
They're
on
not
meth
even dead.
and PCP.
They're
like,
just pissed off.
yeah.
They're infected by rage.
Yeah.
I love 28 Days Later. That's
Yeah,
such a great
28
concept.
Days
Because
Later.
those zombies are legit threatening.
Oh,
The George Romero ones are just like Look,
Yeah, that's
realistically,
bullshit.
you just
Nobody's
go.
scared of that.
You go to the Walmart and you
You
wait
just
for them
stock
all.
up.
You wait for them all to die, and
Yeah.
it's a major
You
inconvenience.
can outrun
is what
them.
it chalks
You
up
just
to.
Yeah.
jog.
Yeah.
Just get in a car.
Yeah, jog at a
And just
reasonable pace
idle.
or drive.
Yeah.
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 See you later.
Plus,
Hi.
Yeah.
28 days later, 28 weeks later, they had like a really good soundtrack to that one as well.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
John
Yeah.
Murphy, right?
Yes, John
Oh,
Murphy.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
No,
That's a great
let's
soundtrack.
take it right back in a quick little circle. So y'all were saying that movies without sound don't matter,
No,
but
no, Joe.
without that
No, that's
soundtrack,
exactly what we
that
argued.
movie would not be
No.
the same. That
Verbatim,
it is.
the exact same argument.
Fuck you,
That
Willie.
movie
I'm
would-
I
trolling.
didn't say that.
I'm telling
I
you
didn't
right
say
now.
that.
I don't care what you say.
I'm
that
trolling
movie
'cause
would
you got
not
it
be
so wrong.
Nearly as fucking cool as it was without the soundtrack.
Yeah,
that
because
had.
they relied on the soundtrack as much as the visuals, and they played together. They were like,
So-
they're like meshed.
I wish-
like a beautiful weavery.
hear me
What
out.
if Charlie
When you-
Chaplin did a zombie film? Or it's like
He would play all the
He's
zombies.
he was like
All the goofy zombies on roller skates.
Yeah.
Zombies trying to go
Roller
bowling.
Zombies poking
Zombies
each other in the
like-
eyes,
I
like
was-
the fucking
Zombies at
Stooges.
war in like World War One. They'd be having goofy mishaps in the trenches,
They would
getting
have, like,
run
a-
over by tanks and shit.
they would
and
have
the
like
other
a church
Oops!
organ in the background too.
Oh man, it'd be awesome. Oh man, if I could, I would go back in time and give.
Charlie Chaplin.
I give Charlie Chaplin my gold bar.
I'm gonna
and
do
say,
you a
make
favor.
zombie movie.
Mr. Chaplin, we're gonna help you make a good movie for once.
I don't have a gold bar.
Yeah, you know, and it's gonna be a shitty zombie movie. You know why? Ain't no fucking John Murray on that shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
John Murphy.
John Murphy. That's what I was
Murray.
going for.
Come on, Joe.
Okay.
So here, let me go on this
Yeah.
tangent for a second.
Okay.
If you're in the
I
woods,
feel like you already did.
if you're in the woods and you're terrified, are you terrified because of what you see, or what you hear, or both?
Oh, you
I'm terrified by what I hear and do not see.
Yes, he got it. I was gonna say, like, I thought you were gonna go in the direction of, like, are you more terrified by what you're perceiving or by what you think is there but you're not perceiving?
Yeah, I wasn't going to the third level yet. I was just simply so right now you need both senses
Fourth
to
level.
have some sort of input and or no input.
This isn't a silent film.
It's a silent podcast.
This is a silent podcast. You know how much silent podcasts suck? They're bad.
We should make one. No one's ever made one.
Yeah, I wonder why.
We would own that market. We would just be the silent podcast guys. When people are like, "Who does silent podcasts?" They'd be like, "Oh, the Conjure Brothers."
Those guys right there. Just
They
go to that
own
show.
it. Don't
They
touch
even
it.
look like they
Don't
would do a
touch it.
silent podcast.
That's
Just
their
look at
frontier.
Fucking morons.
No one wants to hear them.
them.
Well, I'll drink to that.
Welcome to year 2.
season 2,
Season
year
2.
2.
Season 2. Yeah,
Silent
100
years.
more years.
Let's not go silent.
I mean, like, because we're going to be the first generation that transfers our consciousness to a computer, and so we could be
Fuck
doing.
off.
We potentially could be
don't
doing
o-
this.
Don't open that door.
We potentially could be doing
I
the
don't want
show
to talk about that. Man.
for
Yeah.
1,000 years. What if? What if though? What if we are doing this show for 1,000
What
years?
if the world is made out of cheese? I
It
would
could
eat it.
be. Whoa. That's our next dude. You just fucking spoiled our next week's subject.
That's a Vsauce episode.
Oh, that'd
I
be
wouldn't be
awesome.
surprised.
It's already been done.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh,
Michael,
Michael
Vsauce
here.
here.
Michael.
I like how his videos have just gotten super weird.
No, they've gotten internet memey. Have you
Ah.
noticed that? That's one thing I've noticed. Like he'll do the thing where he's like, "Hey, welcome to Michael's Toys," and he just sits there and stares.
Yeah,
and does
yeah,
a
that's
thing.
true.
Like
He's smart though.
he's smart.
He did it before he was a meme,
Yeah,
and now he is
He
because
is.
he knew what he was doing.
he was he's a smart motherfucker. Turn that
Yeah.
to Michael.
Spun that mic around like a little dervish.
Spin that mic. It's so all right. So I'm gonna tell you a quick personal story. The other day, I was really drunk. It was Friday. I left work.
Are you sure it wasn't yesterday?
No, I guarantee
Sure,
it was
it
Friday.
wasn't 5 minutes ago.
Still is 5 minutes. Anyway, so Friday,
different time. I was
Friday of
drunk.
last week, I left work. I rode my motorcycle to my friend. Well, I say my friend.
You weren't
'cause-
drunk while you were riding your
No,
motorcycle,
no, no,
were
no,
you?
no, no. I'm saying my friend because of the people might not know. But so I rode my bike to Terrence's house. All right.
Ah, good old Taryn.
Yep. And then I quickly ordered an Uber, and then I ran to the liquor store down the street. I bought a 12-pack of White Claws. Yeah, interesting. I've never had them
Wait,
before.
what? White Claws?
Yeah, you ever
Sounds
heard of White
aggressive.
Claw?
Sounds dangerous.
No.
They're like the hipster white girl drink right now, or the hip basic white girl drink. So I had to try them, see what's up.
Okay.
You know, So I bought this 12-pack, went to the boat dock, Ubered to the boat dock, and then hung out on the boat and drank a bunch of those. Now on the way back, I caught an Uber.
Mm-hmm.
This is the whole relationary story, part of the story.
What the what?
Whatever.
Relationary?
Shut the fuck up. So I took
We're
this.
going to new words
I
today.
took the This is a conjured word.
Truthiness.
Truthiness. We got truthiness. We got what's? I can't remember the other. Anyway, so I'm in the Uber. This lady's Ubering me, and she's explaining. Basically, she's like, we're talking about who knows what. Oh, I told her the sweet potato joke.
What?
There's a sweet potato.
Joe, you're
Just
you're following up your own show, man.
I know.
What's going on?
I know. Sorry. Here's the problem: is I'm going on memory.
I'm sure I've heard the joke.
All right, so
You have to tell the sweet potato joke now.
yes, I do. All right, what do you call a sweet potato stuck in traffic?
A sour potato.
Nope.
Oh,
I don't know.
it's a mad potato.
It's a traffic yam.
what?
A traffic yam.
Is that a pun?
Yeah,
Oh, is a traffic yam something?
it's like a
What?
traffic jam.
I don't know.
Anyways, so I told the joke.
All right.
She got the Uber driver got this joke right off
Oh,
the bat.
thank God. At least someone
Like
found it funny.
you figured it out before I explained the punchline to her.
Did she go? It's traffic yam.
I did that.
She just wanted your.
She
Like,
was
she
excited.
just wanted 5 stars.
No. Well, she was excited because she's like, all I had to do was think about what my 5-year-old would say, and I'm like, oh shit, and she's
That's
like,
great.
yeah, that's exactly the joke that she might define. And so then we started talking. She explained how her 5-year-old was really into like engineering things and like played with Legos all the time.
'Cause of
Which,
Minecraft.
course, maybe. Probably, I don't know. But
I almost flipped you off just now, but I restrained myself.
you did well.
Oh, go for it.
But I got excited about the idea
bad
was
sportsmanship.
that to have kids like excited about building things and engineering and math and all that these days fucking made me stoked.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah?
yeah, like the idea to bring STEM, like the
Oh,
excitement
man.
of STEM science,
Wow.
and STEM.
Dude, that's what
research and
Legos are all about.
Well,
Yeah.
it sounds like you just had your first like teacher / educator like seed like planted.
maybe, but
Yeah.
so I got stoked.
That's
and,
cool.
And what
That's great.
basically my whole point to her, because she's like, no, my kid's hella smart. Like she does this and that. I'm like, no, it sounds great. She takes apart remote control cars and stuff. Let her. That was my whole goal. Is like just let her
Oh,
keep taking
yeah,
shit
yeah.
apart. It's gonna benefit her later in life. What I wanted to, though, by the end of the whole thing, is I explained.
Was she annoyed that her kid was doing this?
No,
Or
she was actually super proud.
She was
of her.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
she
she
was
was
fostering
supportive.
it.
All right,
Yeah,
good. All right,
it's
great,
awesome.
great.
She was
Good for
amped on
her,
it, and so I was
yeah.
like, "No, this is cool. Keep parenting just the way you're parenting."
Yeah.
I was applauding her nonsense. Anyways,
Like,
basically, she hadn't heard of Vsauce though.
Mm.
I'm like, "Yo, get your daughter watching Vsauce. It's gonna be great."
Nice.
That's that.
He's is he our modern day like Bill Nye the Science Guy? Because Bill
Yeah.
Nye says "fuck now," so he's for grown-ups. He says bad words.
He also gets pissed off at people.
he gets really mad.
He gets really mad.
Oh, he's got a podcast out now.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Science People. It's on Stitcher. He
Oh,
does
that's
a
cool.
good job. It's awesome.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, it's good.
I think he's aware of the fact that like for like 7 years, like every generation was like more or less forced to watch his show.
Oh, yeah.
Which is amazing,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like he
He did a great
understands
job.
that he was like kind of the de facto science teacher for like a generation of youth. And I think he's like taking advantage of that by doing things like you're talking about like that global warming video, right?
Well, I saw that
Where he
later on.
That's the only thing I've seen where he's like cursed.
Yeah,
Did he do it in his new show?
He also did, and there was also the edginess factor when he did that debate with Ken Ham in like 2014 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, his content's like kind of for the generation that grew up with him, you know, because he was on PBS when I was a kid, 6, 7, 8,
About 6.
You know?
6. I recall. Yeah.
and now when I'm almost 30 years old, and you know he says bad words, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I can relate to that. I say bad words too when I'm
Me
upset.
too.
Sometimes when I'm not upset, it feels good to say bad words, and you should do it too. Try it out. Say some. I love when I've had this moment. I just realized this. I have had several of these moments
Yeah.
where I look at both cameras trying to figure out which one is live, and then I look down at this, and I'm always looking in the wrong one the first time.
You heckin' doofus. You
That's
heckin'.
why I should be out there directing and being on the switcher instead of in here on
There's
a
simple
microphone.
rule that I obey, Rob. I don't look into the camera. Just don't do it.
I've only
Oh,
looked
but
in my
sometimes it's so perfect. Like we're talking to our viewers. Yeah, that was the right one.
I helped you out there. I got you.
Thank you.
I got you.
I really don't want that to take your attention away from A, speaking, and B, just doing that. Because
Yeah,
you're doing two tasks at once here. What was I saying about Bill Nye? I mean, I think I wrapped it
here's-
up. Like,
here's
he's got a solid podcast.
I think you were
check
saying
it out.
he's kind of
Well,
cute
here's
too.
what's kind of neat is that Bill Nye.
He's a handsome old guy.
His bow ties are always on point.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. Let's move on.
So well, I'll just say the last thing that's really neat is that Bill Nye, I think, has grown up with us.
Yeah.
So at first he was like wholesome and all that. We got a little older. He stopped giving a fuck because he got kind of older to another degree, and now he's cussing and fucking yelling at people. And so are we.
And I
So
just want to clarify, like, you won't turn on his podcast and get like a South Park episode. It's like
So here's how fucking
I kind of
nuclear
blew
fission
that
works. You
out of
fucks.
proportion.
All right.
I'm pretty sure his podcast is like kind of like hard PG rated because they talk about like death and stuff like they talk about they don't pull punches when it comes to like talking about facts.
real thing.
So-
They go,
Yeah.
it's
But
real
he's also
shit, yeah.
respectful and like appropriate. I don't know.
Yeah,
should
mitochondria. It's the
turn on-
powerhouse of the cell. You fucking cunts.
Unlike Conjure to Condry,
Yeah,
you
no.
should turn on Bill Nye's The Science Guys podcast, Science People, when you're taking your kids to school.
Yeah.
Save Conjure to Condry for when you're driving to work and the kids are gone and you're pissed off in traffic.
You know what? I'm not down with that though.
Oh, okay.
I wish Conjure to Conjure could be like the drive your kids to school show.
That's why I stopped saying fuck on BookQuest.
Oh, that's smart.
I want to at least be able to give it
Yeah.
a PG-13 rating, you know? So you like cuz I think it was one of the first episodes we did, you like said fuck and you're like, "Oh, now I already can't show this to my students." And I'm like, "Wait a second." Like
Why not change it?
if kids are cuz we know like kids are watching podcasts and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Or and they're into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, if we made a podcast that, gave people like maybe showed people or kids especially, like that'd be awesome to show maybe high school students that reading could be like a really entertaining and like enriching experience that they could enjoy. I'd want to be able to give this to teachers and say, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
Whenever we say bad words, it's only in context of the book,
Right,
Or
right,
so,
yeah. Or
because
quoting a part of the book or whatever. It may
right,
be.
yeah, we're not just off the rails crazy guys that love to say swear words. But I would like to have that and have that be a palatable thing to parents and teachers and go like, because I think part of the goal of our show is to show people like to kind of remind them that reading is awesome.
Right.
Like I love reading, and I forgot because I think a lot of people go through the phase in high school when they're forced to read. Like especially my fiance Danielle, she was forced to read a bunch of books in AP English in high school. Before that, she loved reading, and now she's just because we watched Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas the other night. She was like, "Hey, can I borrow that book?" And now she's finally like starting to read for
Correct.
fun again.
This is like
it
5,
took her
10 years
almost
later,
10
right?
years.
Yeah, 10 years.
So and
Yeah.
for a lot of
Wow.
people, school ruins reading, and
Right.
for like if we could make a podcast that kind of even plants that seed of like, oh, maybe reading could be entertaining.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you're reading something like Dune, that is basically the reason that Star Wars exists, and is to boot like a really entertaining and well constructed and awesome story with a ton of really salient topics that you can kind of unpack, apply to your own life, or just plain be entertained by the book because it's fucking cool.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
man, to give that as a gift to people coming up or whatever. Or even if they've read it already, to go back, oh man, I want to redo it again. Just like reading is awesome. I just want to repeat that ad
You know what?
nauseum until my head explodes.
It's a pretty mind-blowing fact, but yeah, you know what? The consensus is in. Reading is cool. Yeah, it's fun.
It's a cool thing to do.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Do you read books, Joe, or do you mostly just like do podcasts, YouTube videos, stuff like that?
Yeah, I've been actually not reading a lot of books lately. It's a lot of YouTube content.
But
to
you
be
know
honest.
what?
Yeah.
I love audiobooks. I love Audible.
Audiobooks are reading.
Yeah.
So you're still getting the information as long as you're able to give it enough attention where you take something away from it. It's the same thing.
Well, and that's one thing, because especially with certain career, like when I get into just simply building something up where I know the skills what's required to build it, and I'm basically on autopilot, not quite autopilot, but it's working with my hands. That's where the podcasts come in. But audiobooks, I know a lot of the guys that I work with do audiobooks, and it's a great thing. Like, you can sit there and gain knowledge, keep your mind completely compelled while you're doing essentially physical labor only.
Yeah.
It's a great system. Like, I highly recommend it. I just kind of found myself on podcasts and YouTube. Science videos kind of gets me more anyways, but yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, a lot of videos, you'll listen to them, and then that kind of puts you in the audiobook frame of mind.
Right.
Just listen.
Yeah,
to it as well.
I guess the main point that I want to drive home is to just to gain knowledge.
Right.
That's cool. And with a lot of YouTube videos, excuse me, sometimes they're visual, and you have to kind of look at them to really get, with Vsauce, I tried to put that on while I was working.
Right.
But there's so much visual stuff going on, it's kind of distracting. But stuff I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but most podcasts have a YouTube counterpart. You put that on, it's pretty much just audio. For instance, Joe Rogan's podcast.
Right.
Stuff happens in the studio that's entertaining, but mostly you get the information by listening.
Right. Yeah. Well, you can get because that's essentially how for example, I consume that one a lot. Right. That's one of the ones that I listen to mostly. And so because of that, I can sit
puts
there.
One out every day or
right.
something.
No, well, it's like 2 a day sometimes.
Jesus
the guy's
Christ.
cranking them out.
He's prolific.
Yeah, well, but the beauty is that he's got such a different complex of. I'll explain later. The cut on that was pretty awesome, though.
Oh yeah,
can't even tell.
I know what you did.
So essentially, the way that he's got content going, there's always scientific and or something philosophical going that you can sit there and gain all the there's plenty of mental content to just digest. Yet at the same time, unlike an audiobook, so here's the difference between the audiobook and
an audiobook is edited, right?
Right.
It's based off of manuscript content, where Joe Rogan's show is a conversation. Half the time, for God's sake, if anyone brings up the subject of fighting, Joe Rogan's going to be talking your ear off for an hour, and I'm like, oh my God, Joe. Yeah. I'm so glad that you have this outlet to talk about this, and it's something you are passionate about, but let's move on. So this I think the worst one was when he had Steve-O on, and Steve-O just talks about it, I think it was when he got punched out by Butterbean or something, and then Joe was
on about
all right, it was bye, Steve-O. Joe's going to talk about fighting for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, because you talked about
why do you have a guest on your show right now?
Well, so
but whatever. It's his show. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
This is what we've discovered, though, because we've talked about the way that this show has evolved.
Yeah,
is we've discovered, okay, what are we focusing on? We know how this particular one wants to stay is unformatted, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas Book Quest became something that's formatted.
Absolutely.
So that's the same way that.
Well, that's why we have Side Quest too.
Right, and Side Quest, yeah.
So and it's not 100% of why. It's fun to do those unstructured shows, but Side Quest basically came about because Willie had the idea of, let's just get together every week and talk in front of a microphone to be in practice of doing the recording.
Right.
Because that's important. You'll notice if we do a show after it's been a month or two and we haven't been in front of a mic before.
Yeah.
Or, since the last show or something.
Dude, well, it's been, a year since we all did a show, and I'll tell you right now, I'm rusty. It's not being in front of a mic, it's different. You fall back into that, even switching and all that.
Well, it's weird because when you sit down in front of a microphone, you are interacting with the people in front of you. Mm-hmm. But there's something different about it. You kind of adopt a different personality. And I don't even think it's because you're aware that other people are listening. You just kind of, at least for me personally, I just adopt this frame of mind where this is almost like I'm writing a journal or something like that. I'm saying things probably in excess of, I wouldn't be over-explaining things to you as I, in person as I would if we were just having a conversation.
Right. We give backstories. We also overcompensate for some of the details, the details as well as the explanations and the even emotions involved. There's a point to make it entertaining to a certain degree as well as real.
Yeah.
And as soon as you present, right?
Yeah. There's the presentation style. I'm maybe exaggerating in some places where I normally wouldn't for entertainment value, and that's just part of because I don't want people to be bored because then they won't come back.
Yeah. The
You
point.
know?
Well, what's the point of
Come
putting it
back.
out if we're doing anything useful?
Tune
We're
in
watching.
next week, Monday
To
evening.
be bored again.
To be bored.
To be bored again, but hopefully less bored.
We
'cause we'll
offer
be
the
in better
best boredom.
practice,
Right.
and I'll be in the other room switching.
There's that. We'll have
That'll
somebody
help
else
so
on.
much.
Boo. We
But
love
you're doing
having-
great, Joe. You're doing a great
Yeah,
job.
Well,
I forgot that you were doing that.
yeah, doing two things at once. It's not that bad, but. Whew.
Oh man. So what else is new in the last year?
Man, we go on for another hour about that.
Let's do it. It's only fucking 7:40.
It is. You know what? I kind of like.
Got
so,
new plays? What about career? Everything's good with the career?
Well, yeah. So I mean, what I'm doing here, it's funny because I've done this before on the show with you, where I said obviously something, and then I realized, oh, it's not obvious to anybody else because
Right.
you and I talk a decent amount.
It is obvious to me.
Right.
We have the connection.
There's that. When we brewers and shit, but
I forgot about that.
yeah, there's that.
I thought the Conjurer was both. You guys both had that first name.
That's all we have in common.
That's it. Yeah, same weird first name.
I forgot. I'm sorry.
Fucked up parents.
Maybe French.
Might be French.
It sounds kind of French.
You should do a 23andMe.
I was thinking about
What
it.
is that?
I don't want the government to have my chromosomes, though.
What is 23?
You don't know 23andMe?
No,
What?
no.
23
Oh,
it's that
wow,
DNA
yeah.
test that everybody's doing.
Yeah,
you know the one where
okay,
you
okay.
you spit on a
I didn't know it was
stick or
called that.
something.
I feel like it was like, it's something, I don't know. Yeah, you give them some kind of DNA. You give them a thing. I think you
Yeah, you do some.
do something.
So I was thinking about that because a lot of people I know have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I do not give two shits what my heritage is. Is that weird?
No.
No, it's not weird.
How much does it cost?
I think it will
It's like
matter.
$20.
I think you'll be
Oh.
more curious about it when you get older. That's my personal prediction.
Well, because most old people seem to care about family trees and heritage and all that, right? 'Cause
Yeah, my parents have really gotten into that over the past 10 years.
I don't know what
right?
it is.
Our
Somewhere-
mom got into that hella
yeah,
hardcore.
no,
yeah.
it's because like I think like
All
when
the
you grow
boomers.
up, you
yeah.
you nostalgize the relatives that you grew up with that are no longer there. Unfortunately, you go through a lot of family loss, which, I mean, like us being of a weird generation, we kind of already gone through that. Like we've seen a good amount of our relatives like pass because we're like a generation off from where we should be.
Yeah, but
Like our
not a whole
cousins,
lot. We're
our
looking at-
cousins are 30 years older than, or
Yeah,
20 years older than us.
But I think
My
we're
bad.
only sitting in like maybe broken to double digits on family losses. Like it's not
True,
that bad.
true. It's not that bad, and they're all from old age. So
It's
It's not that bad.
It's
We
not
didn't-
that no. Like
we didn't go
our
through a
grandparents-
Holocaust. Yeah, we didn't go through like a fucking
We're,
like.
we're
a
out of
thing,
grandparents, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, all our grandparents.
We're out of grandparents.
yeah. A lot of people though that
Yeah,
happens,
guess
like,
so.
that happens in their like 30
Jesus
or 40.
Christ, Joe.
Well, it is kind of tough though because like not to get real for a second though, but like some of them go mentally before they go physically, and so it's like hard to
Yeah,
tell.
yeah. So
like if
yeah,
you have any,
because
like
for a
some
minute
of
there
them-
we're like, oh, yeah, they got. Oh wait, no, yep, grandma's
for
still
like
there,
8
but
years, I feel like I've had no
just not much.
grandparents.
Yeah,
But it was only 1 or 2 years ago
We
that
had-
grandma passed.
yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see
but
what you
she
mean
was
by
like,
that.
Yeah,
'cause
man.
we
Yeah,
haven't
on
even
a
talked to
psychological
her as a
level.
It's another
person.
dimension. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was even talking about it with mom, and like mom was even telling me like as soon as she defined it as soon as she couldn't have a conversation on the phone with grandma anymore
Right.
because grandma didn't know who she was. She couldn't carry a conversation because like after 5 minutes she'd be like, "All right, but who are you though?" You know?
Right. That's got to be rough.
It's a dimension of rough. I can't even begin to comprehend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
I can't even.
She said that
I've
to your
accepted
mom?
it. Yeah.
It's her own, our mom's mom.
And
said
that
this
hurts
to
so
her,
much. I can already imagine that hurts. But like, I already know that I don't even know the half of it.
Yeah. You just know
anyways.
that it sucks, but
Yeah. You
No,
know,
I
that's
can't
life, though.
imagine that.
yeah,
Dementia, Alzheimer's, they're.
it's a rough one, man.
It's a rough one. But anyways, yeah. So,
No, you can't just crash into that iceberg
Yeah, yeah.
and move on, man.
So, well, here's the thing: is because that's what always. I don't know about you guys, but that's what always terrified me.
Oh,
is
yeah.
that I've because y'all know me. Like I fuck my body up pretty good
oh yeah.
on a decent
Oh, you do?
basis. You know, I'm not really terrified of like being crippled or something when I'm old. Like,
That's why you gave up unicycles.
Yeah. wasn't a unicycle when I was riding it. It was a fucking motorcycle.
It's just more comical to me, like
It's only a
getting
unicycle after the wreck, all right?
a chronic
Fuck off.
a chronic unicyclist who's like always getting wrecks is more funny to me than like a motorcyclist for some reason.
That would
Because
be,
it's like Charlie Chaplin on
Yeah.
roller skates falling
Right, yeah.
down.
on a tight wires.
I'm imagining it like like 200% like speed, like it's all
Yeah.
like clippy and stuff.
You know why it looked like that?
Because your cameras sucked and they couldn't like
Because
they
they're
were
a
missing.
manual crank. And you
Right.
had to go faster
Yeah.
to get it to look. But if you're going slower, then it took fewer exposures per second.
Oh, yeah, I just got to bring you closer. I was trying to bring you up, but it didn't work.
Fewer exposures per second.
Oh, there it is.
Is there a
They got all
was there
echoey
a
and shit.
documentary you watched that explained that?
No.
No, he
Oh,
knows
okay.
how
I went to-
cameras work.
Yeah.
Dumb
Come
fuck.
on, man.
Come on.
Okay.
FPS.
We-
So every
okay.
time you crank the camera, that's 1 frame per second. Higher frames per second equals smoother image in the video.
Yeah.
Lower frames per second means you're cranking it slow. So you guys got to be really
Well, I
fast.
know.
And that's why when they came up with motorized cameras, it was like a big deal because then they can have a consistent frame rate and movies didn't look like.
My mistake was thinking that you learned that when we watched They Shall Not Grow Old with Peter Jackson. You remember that one?
Oh, God damn.
Yeah, because he was like,
Of course I
They had to
remember
fix
They
that.
Shall Not Grow
yeah.
Old.
But
I think about that movie almost every day.
Dude, more
that made
people
an impact on my life.
have you seen that movie yet?
Holy shit,
What is
Joe.
it?
It might be kind of boring to you because you're not as into history as me and Willie are.
Everyone,
like-
it's got
but it
mass
sounds like-
appeal.
it sounds
no,
like
it's
it
got
is.
mass appeal though. Like,
It does.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you a story because this is awesome.
Okay.
And it would help if you had seen if you've seen the trailer. Everyone, I'm going to preface this by everyone who hasn't seen
Yeah, you can look
They
at that
Shall
one
Not
this
Grow
time.
Old. I checked.
Yep.
Excuse
Except
me.
that thing moved. You guys are out of frame a little bit.
What?
I will figure it out later.
I moved back because I was
We look
covering
fine.
Willie with my body. I'm sorry.
Oh well.
It's a wet run.
Your story. Yeah, it's a wet run.
Okay.
We're shaking it out.
They Shall Not Grow Old is a film that was put together by Peter Jackson. Thank you.
Got you.
And what he did was he got permission from the archives of English history, or I don't remember the
It
exact.
was like a favorite of them too,
Yes.
because he's gonna remaster their shit.
Yeah. It was. They were gonna like, we trust you to make a film or a documentary with this footage. And
Right.
it was footage taken during World War I. So this is like
100 years ago.
Yeah. Over
Oh,
100
shit.
years ago. Yeah.
And they trusted him with the
1912, 19
archive film bits.
I think it was 1914
105
to
years ago.
19...
About 100.
18?
Yeah, 1914 to 1918. Yeah.
Okay, so World War One.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than 100 years ago. And so they gave this to him, and he decided, let's remaster this. And the trailer has, the old footage as you've seen it. It's like,
It's all rickety.
it's all rickety looking,
Yeah.
and it's in black and white, and the guys are jumping around. And they're like, all right, you
Yeah,
can't
moving
see,
faster
you
than
can't
speed
see
and
any
shit.
details.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it goes to the shot where, it explains it.
Oh, man.
And but the world that these men lived in and fought in was not in black and white. And there's this shot of a tank going over a trench, and in that shot, it like comes into color.
Oh, they color
And then wait.
Yeah.
And then the frame rate speeds up, and then the little tiny frame in the center of the screen goes,
Yeah.
whoa. And it looks
Yeah.
like it was shot on a modern camcorder at worst.
Oh, because you
So,
retouched
color-
Because they retouched it. They made color. They
they-
came up with the software that or
would speed
whatever.
corrected it, right?
my
No,
God,
not
they-
even speed
They
corrected.
created
it, man.
frames.
It created frames in between frames, and it also recreated details.
It's called interpolation.
I don't know what that is. Maybe you could tell
Yeah,
us more.
No, yeah.
I could explain.
basically-
Well, so this is something,
but not blurred though.
No. So,
Yeah.
so this is something that it's beautiful. They came up with this. I want to say 8 years ago. That was consumerly available.
Hold on to your
Uh,
butts, everyone.
That's not that special.
Oh yes.
Adobe After Effects
Mhm.
used to be the only way to do it. Premiere now has it, but After Effects you could export. Literally, I would create pictures. There's a video I have where I took 10 photos.
Oh yeah, the one of Nate Dogg.
Yeah,
where
there's
he's doing
Nate Dogg.
this.
Yeah, I was doing this, and I took 10 photos.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
was the basic. This is 10 years ago I did this.
Yeah.
And I took 10 photos around him in varying angles, and then he interpolated the frames in between it.
I remember his fingers doing this weird.
Yeah, his fingers kind of wiggled a little
It couldn't
bit.
figure out the fingers.
Yeah, because it wasn't that smart. But
That's
that's 10 years
trippy.
ago.
Yeah.
Think about that times 10 years worth of innovation.
So, and there you go.
Boom.
I can only assume that that's probably in the neighborhood of the technology they use
Yeah,
to bring this footage to life. But dude, you have to think like the footage of the guys walking around.
Yeah, it turns
Now,
into
but
walking.
now it looks like, you can see it's normal frame. It's in color, but the guys are looking at you, right? And they don't look like, oh, that's old timey footage. No, these look like guys on
like
the street.
people that you know.
These are people
Yeah.
walking around in front of you, and they're looking at and the looks on their faces
Yeah.
are of like they're afraid or they're worried. They've never seen a camera before. They're intrigued.
Right.
Like, what is this? They're kind of excited by it. You can kind of see this kind of like naive kind of astonishment, kind of looking into the camera, and it's like you're looking at you're seeing things that no one's ever seen before, like except aside from the veterans that were in that war. It's just like it's a mind-blowing thing to see, and it's impossible
Dude,
to
it sounds-
describe
it
beyond
sounds
that.
beautiful
It's
beyond that, yeah.
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
All you need to see is the trailer, and I remember when I showed Chris Mobley this, he was kind of. I pulled up the trailer and all the old footage started, and he was kind of like started to talk about something else.
Yeah,
Cause
and then he just
walked
in,
and
right?
then, as soon as the transition happened, he stopped mid-sentence and was like, "Whoa!" And then we just
Because it became
we just
real.
watched it in silence because it's that impactful.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like it's incredible.
what's
it's
it
like
called
nothing
again?
I'd ever seen again.
One more time.
Before. They shall not grow old.
All right. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to check that out.
I would just add that like it's just really crazy when like there's like a moment where you go from like, oh, these are guys from like 1914 to like, oh fuck, these are people my age.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I could like, oh shit,
They're kids.
You identify
can, like,
with them all the
then all of a
time.
sudden
Yeah.
you imagine you and your squad,
Right.
like in like a battalion in like
Yeah,
World
your
War
buddies.
Yeah.
A lot of times they gave them bonuses, or like they would incentivize young guys to join if they could join a company with their friends.
Yeah.
and of
Right.
course that mean a lot of guys got to see all their friends get killed.
It's
or to
well,
get
yeah,
killed
that's the thing though
themselves.
is like they could. Oh, and so another thing is they showed footage of people in the war, and then some of them they were able to, at some point like 30 years ago, they got like a mass like archive of testimonies from people who fought in World War
Yeah, it was
I
in the 60s and
back
70s.
back when they were alive and they were like clear of mind and able to like clearly tell their story.
yeah.
And then they used Peter Jackson. He got his hand on that archive of testimonies, and he like did his homework, and he figured out who in the footage was like of that voice, and he like coordinated where he could, but otherwise he would just like find appropriate testimonies for like the situation that was like presented.
Applied. Yeah.
But the eerie part is it was like the exact person who was in World War One. And so, like, one of them, oh my God, this guy, he was talking about, like, the first German that he killed. And he was, like, talking about how, like, he was like, oh, it killed me. Like, when he, like, killed somebody else,
Yeah.
it broke him. And, like, the way he described it, he was even, like, it sounded like he was, like, in tears, like, remembering it. And it just, like, oh my God, it breaks you apart, man. Because you, like, you can imagine yourself, like, almost in that exact situation. Because you're, like, at the same age group.
Right.
And it's just like the only thing that matters, the only thing that's different is it's 100 years. Like, 100
Can't you imagine driving your bayonet into someone
Oh
who
my
kind of
God.
looks like you and going like, man, like, if things were a little bit different, this probably wouldn't be happening. Like, this is all just a
Well,
misunderstanding.
you're the same.
Yeah.
You're the same age.
I
You're
mean,
the same people, just different
and,
sides.
and going
yeah.
back to the whole Nazi bad guy thing
Yeah.
from before, like, learning about World War I has really driven home my thought process of going, like, looking at these World War II movies and going, a lot of the guys were like ideological Nazis, but a lot of them also were just fighting to defend their country, and to just kind of gloss over all that is to go like, mowing down the bad guys. It's just it's shallow. It makes everything seem so shallow. It's like not that
Right.
we. It's kind of complicated when you get down to that, because like people will want to defend their homeland no matter what. When you get down to this World War I stuff, like the Germans also did terrible things in World War I, but so did the British.
Right. A lot of people. Well, yeah.
Well, 19-year-olds, like most of the people who fought that war, like the younger guys. When you guys were 18, what the fuck did you know
Hell
about?
yeah.
What did you
Exactly.
know about ideology?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Could you
Yeah,
actually
you had
just
no
got
clue what
ideology?
was going
You're
on.
just following orders. You're just
Yeah.
you're just doing what you're
Not
doing.
that
Well,
that
that's
excuses the rape of Belgium,
Right,
But it's
but-
like
but
the, well,
nonetheless,
you're also
it's
18.
it's also it wasn't their idea either.
Well,
I
it's
don't
that
know,
the people
man.
that you're
It's
fighting might not be
complicated.
the ones that actually did the thing. It's just they happen to be on the same team.
That's true.
And it's one of those crazy things. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you, but that's just a 19-year-old dude who happens to be on the same team as another 19-year-old that did actually fuck something up. You know,
Yeah.
like personally might not have the same vendetta. You know.
Yeah, these are always like rough concepts to consider because it's obviously I think it's not difficult for most people to imagine like
Right.
I mean, racially speaking, it was easier for more Americans to kill Japanese soldiers in World War II than it was for them to kill Germans, which is like it's because they were so much different. They look different. They
Right.
like
Well,
have
a
different
lot of them
cultures.
were probably
and-
German themselves. Like at the time of World War II, I think German was probably the largest ethnicity of like European background in the United States. Like a
That's
lot of
crazy.
people, a lot of people think that like the United States is a English predominant country.
Right.
No, actually, like we were until like the mid 1800s, and then we got a huge influx of Germans throughout like the entire century. And
Yeah.
by the time of World War I, actually, Germans were the largest European ethno background of
That's
Americans.
crazy.
Yeah. In fact, at one point, like there was in a lot of states and a conversation in like the federal level, there was talk of making German like a language of the United States because it was just that common of a language. Only talk of it though. Yeah.
Only considered.
We're a German country though. I mean, we're all about, like
We're a
different-
German country, Willie.
Yeah, we're a German country, man. We celebrate Oktoberfest.
We do.
actually.
We're into sausage. No homo.
We also celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Hey, we're Mexican. I mean,
We celebrate
that
St.
one
Patrick's
geographically makes sense.
Irish
though.
country. Yep.
Day.
Mixing it all up.
Man,
And then whiskey.
they got deep, guys. They got
They did.
dark. Deep, dark.
Deep,
Talk
dark,
about
and
wars.
great.
Man, it sucks to kill
This-
people. I'm
this-
glad I haven't had to do it so
we are,
far.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't really
man.
want to kill anybody.
That would
Jesus
suck
Christ.
to kill someone, man, dude.
I would not enjoy that.
I feel bad whenever I have to like ice a fly or something like that.
Do you feel bad?
Oh,
I always
do
think
that.
about it. I consider
all right, let's
I've
be
I've
honest
killed
here.
a creature, but I don't feel bad. That fly was really upsetting me, so I took out my little electrified tennis racket that I bought, and I've gotten good at using that thing. And
Yeah.
every time
Yeah.
before I say it, I'm tired of it. If it's a big one, if it's a big fly that's bigger
I'm
than
mad as
like
a big old horse fly.
if it's as big or larger than my pinky nail,
Yeah, yeah.
I say I'm sick and tired of your toxic masculinity, and I bat it down to the ground.
Nice.
Yes.
Way to be politically correct.
Oh man, it's all in jest though,
Ah, makes more sense that way.
because it's so large. I usually have to hit him more than once too. I hit him and I stun it on the ground, then I have to smash it, or just like zap it until it turns into a little like steak.
Yeah, little fly steak.
Oh man. I got a question for you guys. Like,
What's up?
so like, it's been a year since we've done a show. Like, what's the coolest thing you've done in the last year?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Coolest thing.
Yeah. Try to think like, I guess from May to May. Since that was like our last show, right? Probably like
Yeah,
around
what
May.
did we do? Oh.
Damn, a lot of stuff's happened.
Yeah,
between then.
it's been a long year.
Yeah.
Coolest thing we've done.
I can't believe it's been a year. Huh.
It's been a year, man. It has been.
Yeah, a lot of my
year.
shit boils down to the jobs. Country in the Park was a lot of fun.
Oh, this year?
Yeah, this year that was a lot of fun.
Who was playing?
Good question.
Various artists.
That is the best answer possible.
You know what?
I think that's what Country in the Park is all about. Who played? I don't know.
In case you
Maybe
weren't-
I'll remember next year.
In case you weren't able to figure it out, Country in the Park was so fucking dank. He just got plastered and doesn't even
so
remember any of
Hey,
it.
wait, is country a redneck thing anymore?
Yes.
No.
Or is
Wait,
like-
what?
No,
What?
no.
Who owns Country now?
Like white people. Like
Wait.
it's
Oh,
it's
okay.
corporatized. It's very no. It's just it's a brand.
I mean, I feel like
Oh, I see what you're
classic
saying.
country officially died when
Oh yeah.
country rap
Then
came
there's
out.
got to be
No,
some
it's
kind of
before
a
that.
Just
demand
before that,
Yeah, yeah.
I was sure of it when country rap
It was,
came out.
it was
but
right
no.
about the time I'd say that Luke Bryan became like a thing.
Was he like a pop country guy?
Yeah,
or-
he's pop country. Like it
Do you like
mostly what it is. Oh yeah, well there's a time and a place for it.
Oh, okay. I see. What
But
you're
it's like Nickelback. It's not good music,
saying. Oh,
It's
wait.
not okay.
but
It's
I
so
enjoy
easy
it.
to talk shit about Nickelback
No,
because
I'm
they're
not-
one of the most hated bands ever.
I
but
will
they're-
sit there all day long and defend it
they're
because I don't
fine.
dislike it. I'm just saying it's not good. I just don't think.
It's not great.
No, it's not
It's
great.
not
but-
horrible.
But there's definitely a time and a place for it, and I do love it when there's a time and a place for it. Same with most country these days. The country pop stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty basic. They all have very similar lyrics. They pander. The beat melodies.
It's become like pop where it all sounds the
it's
same.
It's basically pop. It's country pop. But you know what? It's all right as long as you know that's what you're getting.
As long as you got enough drinks.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Like you're not going into it to actually be country. It's you listen to old school shit for that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Hank
Anyways,
Williams Jr.,
I'm
Johnny
just-
Cash,
I'm just listening. To
Earl
Nickelback.
Haggard.
Betsy Cline.
like all
Earl
those.
Haggard?
Yeah.
I've never heard Earl.
Yeah. No, there's good shit too, but it's like they're all good. It's just once again.
Well,
it's
of
like,
course they're good, or else they wouldn't have gotten
Yeah,
hired.
no,
It's
there's
like-
a time and a place. It's once I love fucking nostalgia '90s music.
Oh, God.
Sum 41, Limp Bizkit, you name it. Like
Limp
there's
Bizkit.
yeah, fuck yeah. He had backup dancer, and I still stand up for that guy.
Limp Bizkit did.
Yeah, he did.
Whoa.
Oh, like Britney Spears.
Yeah,
you had to
just
keep
like-
up.
Nice.
Come on, yeah.
Nice.
So like in the last year, I've been doing more music stuff,
Mhm.
which is awesome because like that's always been the dream for me, being
That's fantastic, man. I
a
fucking love
musician. Yeah,
that.
being a
When you
drummer.
told me that you were like, man, I'm gonna ditch my education career to become a musician because you actually like became a member of the band that you were like subbing in, I'm like, that's the American dream right there. By God,
it was the most
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, my
Yeah, we
We
got,
guitar strings.
we got
on these
guitar
mic
strings on all
stands.
these things.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like upset the show like that, but that was fucking awesome.
that was
It's
the
a great
high
move.
point.
That's
the
a
high
power
point.
move, man.
Yeah, power.
Yep.
That's an aggressive thing to do.
Dude,
It's
what?
legit.
Hey, there we go.
Wait, what?
What's up?
No, wait.
What was that? Do that again. That sounds-
This is radio. We're professionals. we
we're
Hold on.
we
Hold the
fuck
phone.
around. Like, woo. I
That's
remember when I
cool.
was a little kid, I
you
used to
can
do
do
that
that
with
too.
door stoppers,
That's
and
a neat
because it
sound.
sounded like
It's
a
got-
motorcycle
that's got a
driving into
tone
the
to it.
distance.
All right, this is
For
related.
the
to what I'm
record,
talking
nobody
about,
here is high.
though. All right, no, we're on drink through number 3. I think I'm on number 3.
I'm on number 3. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. I was
Let's
going to
go.
stop at 2, but you obliged. That's why my drink glass is all over
We
here.
have all sorts of technical ideas here at Contra to Contra, and one of them was the Clink Cam, okay? All right,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was the idea. It was an idea to make a camera. Thank you for getting out of the way, Joe. It was a camera that's designed to just get the moment when our drinks all clink together. It's maybe not appreciated by the audience, but it's really an important moment. But anyways, another idea that I think we just had
lavalier mics, so we don't have
That was a thought.
this.
We hadn't gotten that far yet. We're still working on it.
Are those expensive?
No, I bought these already, so here we
All
are.
right. No,
Yep.
It looks cool. I like the look.
Yeah.
Having the
It
fucking
feels official. You can move it.
the
You know.
Wild Wild West spider in the yeah, it feels official when you pull it out of the table. We are discrediting the show before the second season even starts. We're just like
We're having a hell of a starter right here.
we're
Like this show.
Hey,
was
we're
not-
bearing it all, people.
Coming in
I mean,
hot.
we've got everything.
This show's about getting drunk in front of other people live.
I'm
on
not
the
even that
internet.
drunk now. I'm just having a great time.
It's,
Me too.
It's all
yeah.
laughter
I'm not
giggles.
drunk.
Yeah.
I barely had anything to drink.
This guy.
Me.
Yeah.
All right. I think with that's a good closer right here.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Come on.
I mean, we've only been doing this for like an hour and 40 minutes. We definitely have
Actually, our longest show ever.
what?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. We usually burn them out at about an hour.
We've definitely broke 2 hours.
No, never
What?
have.
I
Never
think
have.
a good goal for this next show is to raise it to at least 2 hours.
Okay, we can
2
start
hour
doing that,
standard
yeah.
because
Yeah.
if you've got a great guest on,
Oh,
there's
dude.
and you've had some guys that are like and one female. There you go. There's something I could harp on if I was being that kind of way.
PC police coming. We need more female guests.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
not opposed to it.
hey,
I'm not opposed to it at all.
Joe, take
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's not about being PC. It's about having variety.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I'm all about it.
Variety is
Yeah.
a spice of life.
Indeed.
Variety is the spice of life.
So
Let me
yeah.
tell you,
no,
brother.
we'll start scouting a little harder this time.
Really, put that thing in the thing.
You can't tell me what to do.
Yeah, I think
We're
it's about
closing.
that time here.
Jesus Christ, Willie. Joe's gonna end the show because you're being
There's no, it's
a
not a big deal.
dingus right
It's
now.
not a big deal. I'm just holding the mic, Rob. Is this really?
There we go.
What are you, a rapper?
Maybe.
Are you a pop star?
I'll
Maybe-
give him this. I'll give him this. The sound quality has gone up because he's
good.
actually. Yeah, he's
Yeah, there
Should we
go.
just do the next 20 minutes like that?
we
should.
we might just hold mics.
Holding mics is kind of cool.
So I ain't opposed to another 20 minutes, but here's the deal: y'all got to run it for the next like 2.
Okay.
So
Did you
I thought
pee yet?
Guys, no, that's why. Got to take a little pit stop here.
Discipline.
Ain't no bladder of steel over here.
Willie, you're the new director.
I'm just leaving it on YouTube.
Rob,
What's up?
what are we doing on BookQuest?
What are we doing on BookQuest?
What are we working on
What are we working on? Well, right now,
right now?
we. So there are kind of two fronts we're attacking this from. We've got, obviously we're reading Dune, which is great. I love Dune. Dune's awesome.
Very good.
Such a fun book to read. Love it. We also have one show, our first show that we're going to air hasn't completed editing yet. Second show has a first draft of editing yet.
We
It's
got
not
a lot
done.
of shows. We got a lot of shows on the horizon.
I think we have
Like 5 shows
we've got at least 7 shows recorded.
at least.
And that's just a book quest, like side quest, which is, the non-book related of the same thing. Which we're not going to edit those. We're just going to release them maybe in between episodes or like on a separate channel.
We'll do something with them.
But
We've got opinions.
so I mean, does that summation satisfy your question?
Pretty much.
Okay.
The point is we've got opinions on stuff, and they're coming.
Yeah, they're not coming. You
That's
won't
right.
be able to avoid them if you wanted to. Which you won't, because we have the insight. I'm so glad you're here, Joe.
Oh Jesus, is that going that bad?
I mean, just having one camera on you the whole time without that mix-up of,
Gotcha.
You know?
It happens. Yeah.
well, would you want to watch any podcast if there's just one camera?
So I've been doing a little bit of research.
Okay.
All right. As far as the different podcasts goes, a lot of them have just a single wide shot camera like that.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's Well, I wouldn't say it's garbage. They
I don't want to listen to it. You can listen to it, no problem.
Yeah, you can listen
You
to
can
it.
see
It doesn't-
everyone.
I
Yeah.
think part of it also was like we've gone the whole show with the multi-cameras.
Right.
Then we suddenly switched to one camera, and it's just me
Oh,
and Willie
man.
on one camera.
Rob.
I'm super aware of the fact that everything I do is on camera, and now the pressure gets on, and now I have
Right,
to be
whereas
entertaining.
I can take
It's-
the pressure
it's
off
all
every
on
once in
me.
a while.
I've
You can
diagnosed
pick
your
your nose
problem.
Well,
whenever you want.
and the show is not like, again, that's another paradigm shift where the entertainment burden is balanced between all three of us, but now it's just me and Willie. Like, whoa,
Oh, shit, we got it.
if it was a table with one leg, we'd be off balance. So
two legs still falling over.
it's still falling
That's
over
why
if
3
there's 2
people,
legs.
that's why we said
Well, I
all-
mean, so it's like a pyramid in the middle. The table's bouncing on top, and it's at equal 3 points.
Right.
One of the points just left. Whoa! You know what I'm
Tips over,
saying?
yeah, no,
So that was the analogy. I was going
Triangles
for.
are strong. Geometric shapes. That's what we're talking about, dude.
I mean, only if you use them
Math.
right, though. Math.
You can use triangles a lot of ways, and they're still strong.
I agree.
Yeah,
It's great.
it's a winner.
There's a triangle.
And apparently tripods are not like stable, but quadrupeds much more stable. I heard that recently.
Who told you this, Willie?
But you can.
That
you
was
can
a lie.
take- yeah.
If you
where'd
look, hang
hear
on,
that?
Willie. I would like you to look at exhibit. Look right there, directly at that.
I know, right? I
And then
disagree.
below it.
I heard it, but I didn't agree with it.
Okay. Just,
Oh.
all right.
You
Who told you this?
I read it in a book.
You read it on the internet, didn't you?
No, I read it. I read it in Dune. It's got some kind of plot significance that hasn't
Oh,
unfolded
you're
yet.
talking about the political structure of Dune.
Yeah.
Well, this is not a subject for Conjury to Conjury.
No, but if you want to hear more about it,
This is not the subject for.
let's just say you are a fan of Dune or want to become one. Eventually,
Yeah. Check out
sometime before.
Book Quest episode 8.
Yes.
Where can we find it?
On
We
the
don't know.
internet, probably in
Oh.
July or August of next year.
Damn it!
Before the movie.
Yeah, really?
We can start.
Oh,
Okay,
hell yeah. Yeah,
great.
100%. I'm going to
Great.
say it right now. I'm confident. We are going to come out with this episode.
You don't sound confident. You sound cocky, sir. I'm confident.
What's the difference
Ain't got no
between
plan.
arrogance? Shut up, Joe. You don't know me. You're not
Okay.
my brother.
I do actually.
That's the difference between confidence and arrogance. When you turn to your brother and tell him to shut up.
Ain't got no plan.
Well, Joe's a stupid butthead. Like,
Ain't
have
got
you
no
ever
plan.
considered that fact?
This might be about where we end it here.
Joe, Joe's a stupid butthead.
This has been Condre to Condre.
All right. With that, let's wrap this fucker
Man,
up.
what a great wet run.
It's been
This
a
has
good
been
one.
amazing.
We've touched on so
Yeah.
many subjects, so many emotional.
We didn't
like,
even
tableaus. What do you mean we didn't finish? Finish
didn't.
what?
We nailed it.
The story
What story?
of what happened in the last year.
Oh yeah, what did happen last year?
No.
You guys
We're
start-
ending this.
All right. Let's go. Let's make this thing. Mondays it is. I think
love
we agreed on
Monday.
it. Let's do
Monday's
it Monday. It's
fantastic.
something to look forward to on Mondays. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All in.
Let's fucking wrap this bitch.
I love you. It was great.
It was actually really good.
That was awesome.
That was wild.
Yeah, it was one of the most emotionally turbulent shows.
It was a little more wacky.
Did we not get enough content across? Like, I thought we were supposed to be wild.
You're fucking hammered, Willie.
I'm
There
not
was
that...
a point.